Thanks, Brandy. Anybody that can do anything to help, we appreciate it.
And I would like to ask those on the 19th for my 24-hour call-a-thon that I'm going to do a live TikTok live on. ChatGPT and I, or somebody else, and I discussed that I need to ask for moderators that can help me on some of it. So anybody there that's out there that would like to be a part of that, just just ask one of us.
Hey, I have to say, hey, Waylon. He's one of my friend's sons, and he was in the office today, and he goes, "I saw you on TikTok." So, hey, Waylon. So anybody that can help Tracy with the call-a-thon on the 19th to the 20th, she needs moderators. So if you all want to help, just let her know. Because she's going to do that call-a-thon for 24 hours, and she's going to do it on up until we start the press conference. We're going to have people there that will be streaming the conference live. So we just, if you can't come, then get on the live and just call the governor. And if you have any representatives that you know that you want to call them as well, just call them. I mean, we've got to get this out. We have till December the 3rd, or they're going to take an innocent man's life, and I can't do that. So hopefully, I think Gary might be on the phone. I'm not sure yet. He has to call my son's phone. I got a new my son and daughter-in-law got me a new laptop for Christmas, but for the life of me, I can't figure how to go live on the laptop. So maybe I can figure that out before long.
I was told you can't go live on the laptop. That's what mine said.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I've got it. So but yeah, simply me. We will get on into I guess the I don't know what I can say on here and what I can't. So we'll get on into the pew pews later. But they never had that. They got one from his uncle's house, and they tried to make it say that this was like the one that they thought was with Tommy, but it wasn't. So that's a whole nother weaving and winding in and out of stuff, um and how everybody it's just not right. So we'll go into that here before too long. Tracy of Philly said that she could be a mom. Bethany said she could help. And Ray and Shower can help you vouch for you, Philly, she said.
Yeah, I saw those. I'm getting up trying to find a pen so I can write everybody down. I'm going to go back through.
Oh, she's country said her phone keeps ringing. When you want to come up, well, you let me know when you're ready to come up, she's country. Yeah, you've got Stacy said she could help you. Stacy Sires can help you. Thank you, 13 crazy. Yeah, there was someone, I've had a couple of people ask me about how I feel about December coming up, and really in my heart, I don't think it's gonna happen, but we have to do what we have to do. We've got to make everybody aware of this, and it's the media, and it's gonna take all of us. And I appreciate, because I'm just gonna tell you, I've been trying to go live and do something for the last 3 years, and I just haven't been able to, or I just haven't known how to do it. So Tracy has helped me, and she's got me in contact with She's Country, and got me in talk with Steph's Case File, and Cheryl, and I just can't. I can't. Everybody on here, Dora, everybody that has come forth and looked at this and understood and even heard Gary, and that, we know we know that he's innocent, and we've all got to come together um to help free an innocent man. Oh, I'm trying to keep up with people. And Britt Bratt said she could help. Also, Tracy. So you've got a bunch of people that said they could help you. Hey, Lori. Oh, let me.
So far from this live, I have Britt Brad affiliated, 13 Crazies, Stacy, and Brandity. Brand, Branditia?
Hi, sweet friend.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. I messaged you the other day about our friend.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
I don't want any conflict of interest, but I do have hope,
Okay.
and I'm going to be
So
coming
were you
to
able to
see.
talk to that friend?
Mm-hmm.
Was it a good talk?
Can I say that he thinks very highly of him?
Yes, you can. So
So
he does.
just those little words, I'm very excited. Um,
Okay, good.
have you gotten to go in and talk with him yet?
No, I haven't. I'm hoping
Okay.
to when we're down there.
Well,
Um, I'm hoping to when we're down there because we're going to be there the whole week of January the 20th. I'm going to
okay.
be there Saturday to Sunday.
Okay, then I'm gonna do everything to make that happen then.
Okay,
For
sounds
you to get
good.
in touch with. I just can't believe it. I'm just so excited. Like I just cried. Sarah Sue and I, we just cried. Like,
Good.
amen.
I'm glad.
So
So I know everybody wants to know what we're talking about, but we can't tell. But it's good, and the way it came about, I feel like it's been a godsend.
I do too, because I did not even know about this case until that night when you were all talking about it and how I didn't, being from there. Um, and I told you I can't say this. I've talked to the Blount County Commissioner, and I got him. He didn't know about the case either, but he hadn't really. I mean, 92. He wasn't in office then, so I'm not sure that he really knew was in that area. He's from Tennessee, but not in that area. But now he's got it. It started the gossip train. Everybody
Good.
is talking because they've been messaging back and asking. I tried to send you some. I'm trying to send you screenshots of everybody messaging me about it.
Okay.
Um, but Marge, do you know who I'm talking about, Marge? Marge does the lives, and she'll do it tonight. Let me see if I can share this with her. But Marge covers inmates and injustice, and she actually has um, the recovery of inmates. But
Okay.
she's really good people, and um, she could she has people to look at stuff too. Could you get that? If I put her in touch with you, could you get that Dropbox to her?
Yes, I can.
I'm trying to get as many people as possible looking, and I've just started like going through and looking, and I have really high hopes. I can't, like I told you, I can't promise anything, but just the wording. First of all, I'm just going to
Hmm.
say if he would have felt a certain way, he would have told me to stand down and walk away, and that was
Okay.
not said.
Oh, good. That makes me feel better. But yeah, I'm hoping to meet him the week that we're there. And actually, I think I will. Um, but you said the commissioner of Blount County. Do I need to go talk to him? Do we need to go talk to
He's
him?
just stirring shit. He is. Remember, I
Oh,
cuss like a
okay.
drunken sailor. He started talking and asking people about it because you sent me a couple other names, and so I asked him if he knew, And now he's asking people, which brought this. So definitely in Blount County, they're talking about this again,
They
at
better
least within
be.
the courthouse. They're
Yeah.
definitely
Well,
talking. And
yeah.
you know, Ogle's
Well,
retired. Ogle's
yes.
out.
Yeah,
And
he
that
is.
makes me feel so much better about the whole situation. Um,
Okay.
but I'm
Yep.
still learning the case. Remember, I just
Yeah.
got this the other day, so I'm still trying to
Yeah.
learn it. But friend, I
Yeah,
do.
there's
I'm praying. I just feel good about the words that he used with me. Okay.
okay, great. Great. So hopefully I'll get to see him. I wish we could tell everybody, but I know we can't. But I want everybody just to know that this is good. What she's saying
Good.
is a good thing.
That's all.
And and
And it's
what we're
factual.
doing, yeah. Yeah, and what we're doing is good, and we couldn't make it happen if it wasn't for all of you all. So I want everybody just to keep that on the back burner. This is something good, but we just can't. We can't let it out right now.
Yeah, we don't want anything to hurt a case.
Right. So I mean, and with Samantha, she is like a god. It was just like when we were talking and the way that things fell in place, um, and just like with all you all, I feel like everything that's happening right now is falling in place, and every single one of y'all is just God sent because we had no hope because we didn't know what to do. And like Gary said the other night, he's in there, and he can't do anything, and he doesn't, and me, I don't know what to do. I didn't know what to do, and like I said, Tracy, she's the one that's helped us get where we're at, and then she's country, and then now Samantha coming in, Cheryl's talking about it. We've got Dora now talking about it, and everybody. So it's just it's starting to roll, and it's great. And I just don't know. I don't know. I just don't know how to express how thankful we are.
It's definitely a small world,
It is. It is because
and
I
I'm thankful
never.
for that.
With a lot of
Yes.
great people in it. A lot.
I'm telling
Yeah.
you right
And
now, if
people
I
get out there and
ever.
don't be afraid to ask questions. See, I'm not afraid. I got put into a live, didn't even know about this case, and then I was like, "What? Wait a minute." And then I started looking about the steps within the process. We can tell that part. And then some I was like, "Wait a minute. I wanted to find who she needed to go to, who Carolyn needed to go to at the top of the state level to get a hold of." That's what I was really searching and trying to find. That's why I started calling everybody. And to know that that connected, um, had Sarah Sue not pulled me in that live, I wouldn't even have known about this. So the more, just like that, it was God's sin, I do believe. I definitely believe. And I'm so thankful that I came in that live.
Yes, me too. And the connections that you have with, I would just be honest, with the people that we've been afraid to talk to. I guess because I would have never thought to even talk to any of those in Blount County because, for years we say anything and they're just like, he's guilty, and I'm just
No, I
like,
think that
you,
it
you
sometimes
don't,
it just makes a difference when you have a personal relationship with people and you're just sitting and having a casual conversation because they know. And then when, because we all, like, anybody within any political office, they're there to debate. And we don't have debates, we have discussions. And people didn't know about this case. So me just calling and picking up the phone and calling every official that I knew personally or that I have worked for made it, people start talking. People do not know about, like, how could he not know about that case?
right,
And he also, this particular person, I think I already told you his name and everything in a message. Um, he he fights. He's looked at very hard because he fought the corruption in Blount County when he came in to office there, just with the commissioner's office. He's really fought hard, and he's taken a lot of heat. So he's a good human. And
okay, great.
so
So
is the other one.
Yeah.
And he has
And I've
compassion.
got, I love it. I appreciate it. I love it. Like I said, I get speechless because for so long we just wanted somebody to listen to us and nobody would. And basically because I had no idea what to do, and then you guys have come in and helped. Is he on the phone? Oh, he's coming. He's on the phone, guys. As soon as we get it through here. So, is there any questions that anybody wants?
Hello?
Hey, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
All right, hold on. Can y'all hear him? Say hi to everybody.
Hi, everybody.
Can y'all hear?
Hi.
Thanks for letting me come on again tonight and listen to me. I still got a little bit of a cold, so my voice is still a little bit raw. I'm a little bit nervous. I always do to get on here. I'm always nervous when I talk to people. I think that's normal when you live in a 7 by 9 concrete box. You get a little nervous when you're talking to a lot of people. But thank you all again for supporting me and standing up for me. That just means everything to me.
Everybody's saying hi to you. I know a lot of people like to hear you talk, for one, but I feel like that you all need to get to know Gary. You need to get to know who he was and who he is. So I think you need to start by telling people about you're bringing up Gary. People need to know where you came from and how you grew up.
Well, that's a lot of. I grew up country. A lot of people think it's real crazy the way I grew up, I guess, and I guess it is from a lot of people's aspect of the way I come up. But I think I thought it was kind of normal back then. Not normal, but I mean it was nothing like today. It ain't for today's standards, but I can briefly go over kind of how I come up. My mom and dad got a divorce when I was like 4-year-old. And I can remember back then it's different, going to court and stuff when it come to custody of kids. I had an older brother that was 6 years older than I was, so he would have been 10. And I can still remember, even though I was just 4, I can remember kind of how it had happened. I remember we went in front of a judge, and the judge asked me, when my mom and dad separated, did I want to stay with my mother or did I want to stay with my father? And I said, well, I want to stay with my dad. So the judge, he let me stay with my dad, and my brother, he was a little more of a mama's boy. He wanted to go with mom, and he told the judge he wanted to go with mom. So he went with mom, and I stayed with daddy. And there's a house out next to Douglas Lake. We lived out close to the lake. It was a real poor upbringing. The house that we lived in, I mean, it had running water in it, but there was no indoor bathroom in the house. And it's a house that they'd moved in. I think they'd bought when they first got married, up around where her father lived, and they brought it out there and set it up and kind of built a little more onto it, and had a little black and white TV. I can remember. It didn't get like 3 stations back then, and I think one of them barely did come in. When I was a kid, you usually worked too much really to be watching TV. The only thing I can remember watching when I was a kid, I remember watching Dolly Parton. You had a show that come on in the morning called, I don't remember what it's called, but it was Kaz Walker's who it was. That's where she started her journey of singing at. It was on the Kaz Walker show. He had a chain of grocery stores, but he would have her on there singing for a long time. I remember I'd wake up in the morning to this show being on, and he was a big dog guy. Kaz Walker was. He had hunting dogs and stuff, and he was on there talking about if somebody's done something to your dog or stole your dog, just let me know and I'll soon the kingdom come and all this stuff. But anyway, I stayed out of my mom and dad separated. Me and him lived there in the house probably for about another I guess probably 6, 7, 8 months or something like that. I was probably about 5, almost 5. And he was kind of about starving me to death because he couldn't cook. He was trying. The only thing he could cook, though, was eggs and potatoes. And he could fry cornbread in the skillet, and he could fry biscuit bread. And I'd eat that for about 6, 7 months. You know, you're kind of to a point you can't eat it hardly. So I remember asking him one day, I said, Daddy, won't you let me go ask Mama and see if Mama will let me move in with us, because you're starving me cooking these eggs and potatoes, because I just can't eat them anymore. It was pretty good, you know, for the first few months, but I remember him telling me, he said, son, he said, your mama don't want another little kid. He said, she's done raised all her kids. They're all out of the house. I tell him, I said, Daddy, I said, my mama loves me, and I know she'll want me to come live with her if I just ask her. So he said, well, he said, I'll tell you what. He said, you go ask her. And he said, if she says okay, he said, we'll move over there. So I remember going out the door. I couldn't wait. I like to tore the door off the hinges getting out of it. And I didn't go around the road. I went down through the pasture field, down the bank, through the creek, waded across the creek, and up the hill on the other side to my grandmother's. And he went around on the car, and he actually got over about the same time I did and come in the door. And I remember going over to my grandmother, and I said, now, Daddy said if it was okay with you, that we could move over here. And I said, Mama, I said, he's starving me over here cooking these eggs and potatoes. I said, I need somewhere where I can eat. And she looked around me at my grandfather, and I don't know, excuse me, I don't know what he said or what kind of look he gave her, but she said, yeah, honey, that'd be okay. So we moved in the back bedroom. Lord, this thing was so cold. I remember this is a big old house.
Gary,
yeah.
How old were you then?
I was 5. I was about 5-year-old. And this house was it was huge. This house was huge. And all you had was a heater. You had a heater that was in the living room. And I remember this was of a winter time, and God, it was cold. I remember this little bedroom, and I still was tickled to be over there. She made blankets. She said the sewed made blankets, and I probably had 7 or 8 of them on the bed. But it was so cold you could see your breath just blowing in the air. You couldn't wait to get up of a morning to get in where it was warm. You know, we had the fire in the heater going. But anyway, I lived over there with her probably for about a year. Me and my dad did, and he finally met another woman, which went on to become my stepmother. And that's probably where a big stumble in my life came from. You know, was really meeting her. You know, I mean that was a pretty rough time there for a while. He met her, I guess, when I was probably 5, almost 6, somewhere around in that neighborhood, I guess. And he met her, you know, brought her home, and she seemed to be, in the beginning, real nice and stuff, you know, and she's real good to me. She took me and she bought me things, and real nice, you know, and stuff as far as that went. And, boy, that didn't last long, probably about 7 or 8, 6, 7 months, 8 months, something like that, into him bringing her home. You know, it really all went south there and changed. She had 2 sons herself, and her mother had custody of those kids, and I finally found out why the mother had custody of the kids. She had a lot of mental problems, a lot of mental issues, and so finally she brought her kids down there to spend the week with us. And I'll never forget when it all changed. She brought the kids down there, and we went over to my grandfather's house, and we was having like a big get together. And I was sitting there, her 2 sons were sitting there beside her, and I was sitting on the other side of them. And I heard her tell one of her sons that I told you to quit doing that, and I told you to shut up, she said. And I'm thinking, who's she talking to? And she looked over to the son, and I'm thinking, he ain't saying nothing or doing nothing. She said, I told you not to do it anymore. And I mean, she just slapped him. And then when she slapped him, she said, I ain't going to put up to you doing that. And I'm thinking, wow, he didn't do nothing. He just sat there. You know, and both of them was real quiet. I think they knew better probably from past history to say anything back to her. And I sat there and watched for a minute, and I think it was one of my aunts ended up having to drag her off her own kid. I mean, she was just pounding on him. I mean, she was wadding her fist up and just really putting a whipping on him. And I'm thinking, wow, where did that come from? So her two sons went back home later that week. So then she's transferred this off on me. I remember just sitting there one day, and she done me the same way and just went to just literally just whomping on me. I mean, my dad, you know, and people, since I've been locked up, you talk to psychiatrists and the lawyers and stuff, and they go through this, and they say, well, why didn't the family do something? This is kind of a time back then where families, I had a beautiful family that was just a good, kind, Christian, loving family. We all lived around there, my aunts, my uncles, my grandfathers, but you just didn't get off on other people's business when it comes to stuff like that. I mean, they were there to help, and you need them to help, but she just started, really beating on me like a wore-out drum, and I remember the first time my dad come home, and here I am with my eyes blacked, and, big chunks of my hair pulled out and stuff, and I remember him taking and kind of slapping up the back of the head and stuff. I said, what are you doing beating on my boy like that? I told you not to put your hands on him. And it's kind of one of those things to where, I guess I guess he thought I knew he loved me and he cared for me as far as that. It was obvious that he done that, but I think he kind of looked at it too, well, this is my woman and she's going to stay, and if I keep going, I can train her to keep from doing this, but it kept getting worse and kept getting worse, and I guess it went through probably, at that time, I'm like 6 to 8. And it just kept progressing. I mean, she'd tell me at times, just wait till your dad leaves, I'm just going to beat the hell out of you once your dad leaves. And it kept getting worse. I remember one of the worst times that there probably was in which my mom gave her a real whipping over this. But I remember I came in from school, and that was the last time when I would come in from school, and I'd actually go in the house without my dad being there. I got to where I tried to, when he would leave, I'd leave with him, and I wouldn't go back in until he'd come home, and I could go in with him to go in the house, and I kind of felt safe, as long as he was around. And she wouldn't do nothing. When I remember one of the last worst times that she actually got on me was, I came in from school, and I was hungry, and I remember I went to the refrigerator to get something to eat, and there was one piece of bologna left. So I get the piece of bologna, and I put it on some bread, and I sat on the table eating, and she was in the bedroom. And I remember she come out of the bedroom, and she walked up and looked at me, and she said, what are you eating? And I said, I'm eating a bologna sandwich. She said, you're eating my last piece of bologna? And I mean, she hit me so hard in the side of the head, just slid me off the chair again in the refrigerator. And she went to stomping and a beating, and I mean, just jerking my hair out with a handful. I mean, she was jerking the chunks up out of my head. And I mean, she beat and beat. Well, the thing that really got my mom on her over this was she said, oh, you like to eat somebody's stuff? And she just snatched my arm. And I still got a scar on my arm where she literally bit a chunk out of my arm. And I remember my mother probably about a week after this. Lord, this is a fight. I mean, I was actually kind of, I can't say that I wasn't smiling to see my mother whoop her, because my mother had actually never come out and, actually, I don't know if she knew all the stuff that she was doing to me all along, but I know she found out about this, and especially when she bit me like that and stuff. Then when she come out and seen me with my eyes was blacked and where I was beat up pretty good and had this big chunk out of my arm. I remember my mother come to my grandmother's house, and she said, where's she at? And they said, she's in the house. She said, you tell that bitch to come out here. She said, I got something, me and her's going to settle. So my mother, I went out, and finally, and I think all the family kind of wanted that. They weren't really trying to protect my stepmother. I think they all kind of thought, well, go on out there, and deal with somebody, if you like to fight and beat up on somebody, go out there with his mother, because his mother's a pretty rough woman, you know. She likes to fight too, you know, so go on out there and deal with it. That's what you like to do. So they fall from the top of this hill to the bottom. I mean, I remember looking down the hill, and they were just glops of hair from the top of this hill to the bottom. They were pulling each other's hair out. But my mother bid her. She said, you like to bite on kids? And I mean, she bit my stepmother all over. And I thought, Lord, after this, I can't never go back in the house again now, you know. And I actually started, like I said, when I would come in from school, I'll never forget my aunt one day. I had this big old dog. It was a big old, Lord, I can't have a brain freeze. It was a big old hunting dog. Somebody that lost it out the lake, some guys was coon hunting, and they lost this big old hunting dog. Oh, it had ears hung down. I can't exactly know the name that you called him off the top of my head, but this dog, it actually got to be my best friend. I remember my aunt come in one day, and I actually put me a blanket. I had a big old dog house that sat right beside the house, and it was a big old dog. It was so big I could crawl up in it. Of course, I was small as a kid, you know. I remember my Aunt Pat, she lived down beside us. She stopped up there in the corner, and then she came in and she said, boy, what are you doing? I said, I'm trying to stay warm. She said, no, what are you doing up in that doghouse? Because I was actually up in the doghouse with a blanket wrapped up with my big old hunting dog. It was a big blue tick was what it was, a big old blue tick hound. But like I said, I would stay there. I'd try to stay out. It was snow on the ground. And she said, boy, you're going to freeze there, snow on the ground. I said, well, I'm actually pretty warm in here with this dog with this blanket on me. But I would stay on the outside till my dad come in. So finally, at this point, I'm like 9-year-old. And I remember later that there was another time it just got real bad. I mean, she put a pretty good beating on me. And I told my dad, I said, look, I can't handle this anymore. I said, I've got to go. And it actually got so bad at one point, I know I had an aunt and uncle that tried to, they wanted to adopt me. I remember my poor old daddy. You can tell he didn't want me to go. He did love me, but he didn't know how to raise a kid. He didn't have a clue how to raise a kid, and he worked 12, 14 hours a day. You know, he wouldn't earn that much. But I remember they wanted to adopt me, and they had money. I mean, by our values, they were rich, I guess, because, you know, growing up where I did, poor the way I did. But as a young kid, I mean, I'm done out working on the farm. When I was old, my grandmother's at 6-year-old. I'm done going to the fields and helping my grandfather run their cows up in the barn, the milk of the morning, and feeding the chickens and feeding the pigs. And as I got 7, 8, 9, 10, I mean, I'm in the fields planting tobacco, just anything you can think about. I mean, on the farm that you can do on the farm. Back then, you just worked. It wasn't one of those things, and you started it real young like it working. But anyway, back then, I ended up telling my dad when I was about 10 at this time. I was around 10-year-old, and I told my dad, I said, I can't take this no more. It's just so bad. I can't lay down and go to sleep around the house. It's just, I don't never know when she's going to come in there or what she's going to do or, you know, to me. So my dad, he actually helped me. He helped me buy me a camping trailer. And it's a pretty nice little camping trailer. It had a little small refrigerator in it, had a little hot plate, had a little oven in it. And I moved it down in the pasture field behind my dad's and leveled it up and run me a little cord down there so I could have a light in it and stuff and hook the refrigerator and stuff up. And I actually moved into it and just started living by myself. And one thing was a real savior to me was my older brother and his wife. They were much older than I was. I think, well, he was 6-year-old, so he'd have been 16. And he just murdered. I guess he was 17 at the time. I was 10, probably a little over 10, because I think he had turned 17 or 6 and turned 17, and I think his wife was like 4 years older than me, so she was probably fixing to turn 15. And Lord, they run off together. And got married. But anyway, they was a savior to me, because I used to go sleep on their couch, and I lived with them a lot. So, you know, they was that savior so I'd have a place to stay. But I'd come and go. I'd come back, stay in my camper, and I'd go stay with them because me and my brother, we cut firewood and stuff like that, and sold to Gatlinburg to the motels and stuff for their fireplaces and stuff. So we'd get out and do that, and I literally at 10-year-old, you wouldn't believe the jobs that I was doing. I mean, I had a real estate guy that was paralyzed from his waist down called Hal Hodge. I used to go out and started my aunt worked for him. She cleaned his house and helped take care of the kids and stuff. So I would go out and clean his blazer. He'd go out, he'd get it all muddy and stuff, going out and showing people real estate and stuff like that. And it started out, I started cleaning it. Then he realized, well, this boy grew up on a farm. He can drive tractors. He can do any of this stuff here, you know. So I started doing more stuff. Didn't make, but I think when I first started out, I was just making like 50 cents an hour. And when I started doing these other things, he upped it a quarter and started giving me like 75 cents an hour. And I think I worked with him for about a year. He gave me like $1.50 an hour. But I was still working with my grandfather. I had an uncle that owned all kind of machinery like dozers, backhoes. My grandfather owned stuff like that too. So I was always working with them. We was in the fields cutting tobacco, baling hay. I mean, anything that I could find to make $1, I was always out doing it. Then finally, after about, it's probably about, I think I was 14. It was in 79. I was 14. I went with my uncle and my aunt and her daughter to Six Flags over Georgia. And when we come out of Six Flags over Georgia, there was a work site there. There was a work site that it was a construction site. And we stopped to see how work was there. And the guy said, "Yes, if you all want to go to work, I'll put you up to work today." And I remember he looked at me and he said, "How old are you?" And I lied to him and told him I was 17 and I'd be 18 before long. He said, "You don't look like you're no 17. My uncle told him, said, "Look," said, "he can frame a house." I've been helping them for years doing construction work, framing houses, laying stone. He said he's pretty good at that stuff. Said he's been doing it for years. Said, you know, he knows a lot of that. He said, "Well," said, "y'all want to go to work?" He said, so I think we told him we'd get our stuff and we'd be back by the end of the week and we'd go to work. So I actually moved at 14-year-old. I moved to Georgia. And I lived with my aunt and uncle for a little while till I met, I don't know how long I lived with them, probably 8 or 9 months or something. And I met a girl and my aunt didn't want my uncle around this girl. So that become a little bit of a problem. So I said, well, I'm just going to move out on my own. So I'm living in another state at 14-year-old, living by myself. Of course, I've got my own vehicle. I've got a lot of that stuff to tell you. I mean, I had my own vehicle, and I was like, I think I got it right before I turned 11-year-old. And I mean, I drove anywhere, drove back and forth to work. It was a different time back then. A kid couldn't get out and drive like they do now. I used to have to sit on a couple pillows. I remember I had a 63 Ford truck, and I was so small, I'd have to sit on a couple pillows. It had like what people call 3 on the tree. It was a straight shift on the column. And I'd have to sit on these pillows and go down. I barely could see up over the stern wheel. I remember I had a state trooper once that pulled me over. I went by the bank, and state trooper said he was cashing his check, and he said, I seen you go by the bank, and I didn't see no head in the vehicle. He said, I know. He said, I got to get out of this. So he pulls out behind me, and I'm scared to death. I'm trembling and jerking, and I ain't but like 11, and he follows me up the road, and I'm 11 or 12, something like that, and he finally gets me, he pulls me over, and he said, look, he said, how many pillows you sitting on, son? I said, well, I've got a couple. He said, how are you getting down to that gas feed and that clutch pedal? And he said, I didn't pull you over because you're bad driving. He said, Lord, I followed you for miles. He said, you driving this vehicle, he said. He said, there's no problem with that. But he said, son, you're too young to be out driving like this. I said, well, I got to get back and forth to work. I said, I work every day. You know, and he'd have probably took me to jail or done something else if it had been times like it is now. But he literally let me go on home, and he said, son, he said, you got the change. Give me a ticket, though. I remember when I went to court, the judge made me wash police cruisers for a whole month, every weekend from, I think from 8 in the morning to 6 in the evening. He made me work police cruisers for that ticket. He said, if I just make you pay the money, your dad's probably going to pay the money, and I'm going to let you work it out. He said, I'm going to try to break you, he said. Of course, he didn't. I was driving to the jailhouse and parking over at what they call the odd shop and walking around the corner to get down to the jail, you know. So he wasn't breaking me doing that. I had to get to work, you know. But anyway, back when I remember I went to Georgia, and this is kind of funny. I moved down on my own. The guy I went to work for, and what he had me working like this guy here. I was pretty much a workaholic on the street. I worked every hour I could get as long as I was making decent money and trying to save every dollar I could save. I remember this guy here. He was working, and the first time I met his wife. She kind of wanted to mother me, kind of. She seen how little I was, how young I was, and it was kind of funny the first time I met him. Went around her, and she looked at me, and she said, "Oh, honey," she said, "are you that boy?" She said that he's talking about been working 10, 12, 14 hours a day. She said, "Honey, you're just a baby." He said, "A baby, my ass." Said, "He's living with a woman." Said, "He lives by himself, then he lives with a woman." She said, "Are you living with a woman?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "She's quite a bit older than me." I was just messing with her. I said, "Yeah, she's a woman." I said, she's quite a bit older than me." She said, "Who is she and where is she at?" She was ready to go whoop somebody, I believe, because she was just so sweet. She was such a sweet lady. And I said, and I finally told her, I said, "Yeah, she's about 2.5 months older than me." She said, "Honey, you're just a baby." She said, "You don't need to be out working. You need to be riding a bicycle or climbing some trees or something." He said, "Don't you be telling him, feeding him all that stuff." He said, "He's the best hand I got. He works harder than every man that I've got on the job side," he said. But anyway, I lived down there I think I come back when I was 17, probably fixing to turn 18. And the girl that I was with, I went on to marry. You know, and I shouldn't have never got married. When I got married, I don't think. It was one of those things. I was trying to work there and save money. I was kind of raised up and brought up to believe. My grandmother and my aunts, you know, they helped me back then too when I was sleeping on my brother's couch. I'd go from one to the other, and I mean, they would cook me stuff. I remember my Aunt Lucille, I would always go out to her house. She was the one that cooked apple pies. She'd make me apple pies. If I got skin, I'd go to my Aunt Hazel. She'd patch my skins up and stuff on me. So I had people around me, you know, even though I was on my own. I had people that looked out for me. My grandmother, I could still go back to her. Excuse me, I could still go back to her, and she'd still help me, and you know, and stuff like that. But I still shouldn't have been on my own. I looking back, especially, you know, looking back these years, and I started drinking too at a young age with my uncles and stuff, and back then I thought it was really cool, you know, that here I am, 10, 11, 12-year-old, and I'm going out riding around drinking with them and stuff, and going in bars back then. It was a different time back then. I was going in bars, and I thought, wow, I must be really cool, you know, that they're wanting me to go run around with them. And once I got a little older, I started figuring it out. You know, it ain't that they want me to go ride around with them drinking or go to the bars when me just being a young kid. They wanted me because I had money, because I was always working. And this was poor times back then. I mean, they was just not much money around, and I was working, especially once they started letting me run around with them. I started, I guess, working that much harder because I thought I was really cool and I got to run around with them and, you know, and be with adults like that, you know, and stuff. I thought that was probably the coolest thing in the world. But when I got with my wife down there, we kind of made these plans that were, you know, and I'd always thought that I'd meet a girl someday and I'd buy me about a 30 or 40 acre little spray at summers or try to get something that big anyway and have me a bunch of animals, kind of like I was brought up with my grandfathers, because we had chickens, ducks, cows, pigs. I mean, you name it. I just love that lifestyle. If you ever grew up on a farm, you know what I'm talking about, because you'll never have as much love in your life as you will growing up around all these animals, because animals is just filled with love. And
you have 1 minute remaining.
If you receive it, trust me.
Do y'all want him to call back and hear some more? I need to know quick. Yes, they want you to call back, Gary. Tell them right quick, though, how old you were when you started working like that.
Oh, Lord, I was working from the time I was 7 or 8 on the farm. I mean, I was working kind of like, probably doing as much as a lot of the men was doing, the 8, 9, 10-year-old. I mean, I was, I don't know, I guess I got that from my dad. That's when my dad worked. My dad didn't do nothing but work, and I guess I just got it from him, you know, because that's all he ever done. I guess it kind of transferred over on me, you know, his working habits, I guess. But, Lord, when I see kids today, I mean, I see some of them and they just, you know, the way they're raised and stuff. Now, I used to look at my grandson thinking, God, he's 10, 11, 12.
Thank you for using GTL.
I'll have to get Callie, have Devin come and get the phone. He'll call back here in a minute. No, we're not married. We should be, but we're not. I do have stuff I can show. And you all want. I'm just glad that he got to call. Oh, okay. Samantha, tell her that I will, get in touch with me. I'm just learning how to do all this stuff. So, he does have a daughter, and he's calling back. He has a daughter that was 1 when he went in, and they have the best relationship that they can. And we better tie the knot. We will one of these days.
Riverbend, Access Security Institution. To accept this call.
Yeah, and then that's like Samantha was telling me. She talked to some people that didn't even know about this, and thank you, Justin. Okay, so here he is. All right, Gary, say hi to everybody. Everybody's telling you how much they are behind
You're going on and off.
Oh, what about now?
Are you there?
I'm here.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. Everybody's wanting you to know that they're behind you, and everybody's coming together to help you. So, just go ahead, and this is your platform right now. So you do what you want.
Well, let me go back a little. Like when I was working still on the farm and stuff. Like through the years when I moved out by myself when I was like 10. Like I said, I worked for my grandfather, and there was a lot of stuff I guess I left out there. I had aunts. My grandfather, when he bought that farm out there, they were raised up in the mountains. I mean, these people were so poor. I mean, I remember my grandfather one day. I asked him, I said, Papa, how did your feet get like that? His toes is kind of curled up in the front. He said, son, that's from wearing shoes. Back then, he said, you was lucky sometime if you could get a pair of shoes every year and a half or so. He had an old sawmill up there. They cut wood and cut the timber off the mountain. And he ended up selling that, and that's when he bought that farm out there at Douglas Dam. And the good thing, I think, with me was when I was a kid was when he bought that farm, he deeded off a little place for every one of his kids. And he had one kid who lived down in Knoxville, but all the rest of them, we all lived on this farm. He did all the outskirts of this farm. And it was so good because we was raised up with so much love between us, like on especially the Sundays. Oh Lord, the Sundays was the day that I looked so much forward to, because when after we went to church and church let out, we would have these big dinners, just huge dinners. All the family would get together. We had this big old farmhouse, big maple trees out in the yard, big surrounding porch around it. Had the lunchers out in the yard, porch flames. But my aunts, I'd go to each one of them. I remember as a kid, each one of them had certain things that they cooked for me. That's like my Aunt Lucille, I remember. She's gone now. She died a few years ago. But this is the sweetest, kindest woman. I remember one day I asked her, I was talking to her. It's probably been, I don't know, probably 8 or 10 years ago or something. And she was telling me, and I was asking, I said, you never did tell me no when I come and ask you, to make me an apple pie. She said, well, honey, there were times that I was tired and I probably didn't really feel like it. She said, I know what times. But she said, I always did, because you never come and ask that much. And I would always do stuff for you. I guess a lot of the kids did, and she'd tell me, honey, you don't have to do that. And I said, no, I feel like I need to. But when I'd go ask her to do one for me, to make me an apple pie, I would sweep her carport off, sweep her porches off. I'd do stuff like that for her. Whatever she needed, I'd empty her garbage cans or whatever that she had around the house to do. But she never told me no. Then my Aunt Hazel, Lord, you want to see a cook that can cook anything, that's just the best in the world. I used to always tease as a kid that when I got older, I was going to buy a restaurant, and me and her was going to go in together, and we're gonna make millions off of her food. That's just how good a cook she was. But she just, Lord, she was like a mother to me. But like I said, I had a lot of good people around me. That's the reason I've had lawyers tell me and psychiatrists tell me, oh, Lord, the way your stepmother beat you and the stuff that you went through as a kid, so that had to just really scar you and really mess your life up. I said, no, I don't really feel like it did. It did in one sense, but I said I don't feel like it did in another sense, because I knew that all women would like her. I had all these other beautiful women in my life, and I knew that they all didn't beat you and treat you like that. So, but anyway, it was by the standards it was back then, and being poor, I still think it was pretty good. It was a time where you didn't have to lock your doors. You didn't have, seem like today you have a lot of pedophiles and stuff out. You can't let your kids go out in the yard and play and stuff. It didn't have none of that. I would get out sometimes. I would ride my little pony, I'm telling you, to the river up and down that creek. I might not come in to 10, 11, 12 o'clock that night with nobody worried about where somebody kidnapped me or nothing. They knew I was out fishing and doing my thing. That was just who I was as a kid. But when it come to working, I had a grandfather I worked for. I had all the farmers knew out there. If they wanted somebody to, they was all of them was always coming hollering, because they knew how hard I worked. If they had tobacco to cut, if they had hay to put up, it don't matter what they had to do, they would come holler at me. We used my grandfather, my uncle, and I had uncles that done building houses and framing houses. I would go work with them, and I remember as a youngster, I remember the first time I really started learning how to build. I remember I was crying one day to my uncle. It wasn't, literally crying, but I was just whining to him about, I said, I don't understand this. I'm the one, I do twice as much work as y'all do, and I get paid very little. And y'all get paid just good money for doing the framing, but I'm having to carry all the lumber, everything to them. I remember my uncle looked at me and said, look, I don't want to hear you whining. He said, if you want to make the money we make, learn how to do what we're doing here, and you have somebody carrying the lumber to you. So that's what I started trying to do, and it just kind of hit me, and I'm thinking, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to learn how to do the stuff that they're doing. Framing houses, building cabinets, whatever, and I started learning to do all of this stuff. But going back down to where I was in Georgia, this woman, she really took me. The guy's name was Jean Haynes. Her name was Shirley. She was one of the sweetest women that I had ever met. She wanted to be my mother, be a mother to me. She had one son, But he was out and gone, and she tried to really mother me. Jinx, don't pay no attention to her. He said, the only kids that she's got is these 2 skunks. She had 2 big old white skunks that she had bought in Florida. And he said, it's only 2 kids she's got. And said, she thinks she needs to mother you. And I said, well, I said, it feels pretty good, because she was really sweet to me. And she would make him. I remember he had a big old house out on the lake, a big old beautiful log home. He had a boat dock, a nice boat, and I didn't kid him about letting me go use it. No, she told him, oh, you're going to let him go use it. She said, well, he wants to go use it. She said, honey, if you want to go out there, she said, I said, so you mean I can take a girl out there, go out and stay the weekend, and she kind of just laid the law down to him, you're going to let him do it. But, and he did, of course, I always kept it clean and done right by it. But then I met, like I said, I met a girl that went on to become my wife, and I thought at the time when I met her, because I'd kind of raised up my mother, or not my mother, my grandmother and my aunts and stuff, and my great-grandmother, they kind of installed something in me, and I had this, to me, the plan was, is I was just going to meet this girl, and it was going to be kind of something like you read in a book. They had me I was going to be a woman guy, and, I'm going to meet this girl, and I'm going to save me enough money, I'm going to buy me a little spread of land, I'm going to get me some cows and horses and chickens and have a bunch of kids, and it's just going to be that, and then I met her, and it seemed like things was going good. When I met her, I wasn't 14 when I met her, but I felt like I fell head over heels in love with her. And I thought we had a life mapped out. I was literally working, at this time I'm probably 15, and I'm working with this guy. He's a workaholic too, and he's paying me cash money for me working these extra hours or something. He's trying to get around paying me time and a half. I think sometimes he did pay me a little time and a half, but a lot of it he was paying me under the table cash. But I was making good money. I mean, he kept up and he was giving me bonuses. He would tell me, like, if you'll work this many hours every day, every 3 months I'll give you a bonus, and in 6 months I'll give you another bonus. And I literally, this is no joke, I literally get down to the point I'm working 16 and 18 hour days some days. A lot of days, actually. But I'm telling her, look, let's save every dime we can save, and we'll go back. This land back those days was cheap around the house in this rural area that I was from. It was cheap. I mean, you could take about $30,000, and I mean, buy a nice little spread of land, and I'm trying to save this. I thought we had these plans planned up, and all my plans kind of went awry. I had somebody that was in my family that kind of their MO was just try to lie to get what they wanted when it come to women. And there was this girl that lived next door to us, and she'd been kind of flirting with us little, and I mean, she openly would flirt, around in front of the woman that come on to be my wife, and she said, I've just never seen somebody that's her age work the way you do and act like a man like you do. And, but this person, my family, literally told the woman that went on to become my wife, said, he lied to her and told her one night we'd all done her having a party and we'd had a few drinks, and he lied to her and told her that I'd been sleeping with this girl, which I hadn't. I'd always told that girl, no, I'm a one-woman man, I've got a woman, and I don't do that. And then just something really kind of clicked in me from that when the next morning I got up, she was still with my family member, and she literally admitted to me that she cheated and stuff. From that point on, I thought, wow, everything I thought, the way her life was going, that's all changed now. So I ended up, I took what money I had saved up, so I moved back to Tennessee and left her. And she ends up showing back up in Tennessee about a year later. And we tried to make it work, but it was just, I forgave her, but I just never could forget it. In the back of my mind, I always kept thinking, what if somebody else comes along? Is this going to be something that's going to be an ongoing thing? If somebody comes to Liza and tells her that I'm doing this or doing that, And I just never could really get, and ended up getting married, though. I mean, it was one of them things. She wanted to get married all the time, you know, and I just finally just kind of fell in, I guess, the pressure. I had some aunts and stuff, too. They started getting along with her good, and they were good friends, and they constantly, well, won't you get married, you know, and I'm thinking, well, you know, $200 or $300 I can get out of it if you know, if it don't work, you know, and here I am really still today. I mean, she still never divorced me. I figured she would after I got locked up, but she didn't, but when we did finally separate, that's one of the things, I was kind of hanging around with Tommy, the guy that I'm charged with on this case here. I started hanging around with him a lot more because when me and her separated, me and Tommy had been friends for years, but we would just occasionally go out and drink a few beers here and there and stuff, maybe like on one day on the weekend or maybe one day through the week or something. Just whenever, you know, we'd get together here and there. But once me and my wife actually separated and she moved back to Georgia, and I was really having a big pity party when she moved back because she took my little girl with her, and I was just, Lord, it's just like somebody ripped my heart out of my chest when they took my little girl. Because Lord, I miss him. Had a little smile every day, and it was just. I was really having a pity party, I guess, for myself is what I was doing. I was drinking a lot more, and then I started hanging around over Tommy's a lot more. And that's one reason I guess put me over more. Or I probably wouldn't be where I'm at today if I wasn't hanging around over more, I guess. But it's sad that something like that can get you to the point of where I'm at today, not for something that you've done to somebody, but just who your friends were. But I started hanging on over him more, and I mean, he was one of those type of guys. Tommy was. He just had a big heart. I mean, and he was a comical guy. I mean, I would sit around sometimes. We would sit around and drink beer, and I'd take a grill over and I'd throw a grill out. We'd grill steak and pork ribs and hamburgers and hot dogs, and we'd sit around and eat and drink and just shoot the bull. I mean, he was one of them type of guys. He'd keep you alive, and I'd lie sometimes that my ribs would be sore. And I just got toward looking at him more just as a friend, as a brother, because I started hanging out with him in the beginning. Started hanging out with him a little more because I felt sorry for him. Because I mean, he was poor. He was really poor. He didn't have nothing. He drank. About all he'd ever done was drink. I mean, he'd lost his leg in a car wreck below the knee, and you know there wasn't a whole lot he could do. He got a little old check, and I think his sister gave him like about $40 or $50 out of it each month was all he got. I think she kept the rest for rent or something on his trailer that he lived in there, and I guess to pay his electric bill and stuff too. But I started standing around him a lot because I felt sorry for him. I'd see problems that he had all the time, people jumping on him, and you know, and I kind of felt like I wanted to be a protector of him and stuff. You know, and it hurts a lot now to think about why couldn't I protect him and keep this from ever happening to him, you know. But we got to where we really was like brothers. And one thing about it I can say, we never, out of all the years we was friendship, we never had a harsh word between us. Of course, anybody knows me knows I'm not a very argumentative person. You know, and I ain't no angel now. I mean, I used to get out to the bar rooms, and I was kind of one of those people that, you know, I never was one to start a fight. You know, I was waiting for somebody to put their hands on me or be the one to kick the can down the road, as they used to say, you know. But we just started hanging around a lot more, you know, and that's when I finally met Carolyn, the lady that y'all have got to know now, you know, and I met her, and I had no idea where it was going. And I remember, and here's the sad part with Tommy, you know, I didn't know where he was going with Carolyn. I mean, he kept telling me, and he said, you know, why you letting this girl come out to your house and stay? Because I just didn't do that. I didn't let girls come out there and stay. Actually, I dated his sister for a little while, Tammy Griffin, and she was a lot like him. I always thought she had a really big heart, and she was a lot like him. But she come out there and stayed a little, you know, a night or two here and there, but he said, this girl here, is she the one? I said, I don't know, Tommy. I said, we've never really sat down and talked about where we're going or what we're going to do. And I mean, I was still, seeing other girls that I was dating and stuff, and I really didn't know where it was going. And it was just really, things really started falling together before this happened with me and her, me and Carolyn and Tommy. I'll never forget, just like a week before this happened, I remember going to him and telling him, I said, Tommy, I said, because a lot of people, we had people around us that were having problems. We had people that was actually shooting at each other and stuff, and people was having problems. And I said, Tommy, we need to really do everything we can to stay away from all of this stuff that's going on with these people. And that's literally what we were trying to do, was stay away from all this stuff. And we thought we literally were staying away from all of this stuff. And I remember telling him, and just something in me was telling me, you know, we got this instinct in us that tells us, you know, when to do things, and we always try to listen to it. And it was screaming at me. I remember telling Tommy, like probably a week and a half before this happened. I remember telling him, I said, because Sunday was usually a day that we would fill a cooler up, and we'd go ride around towns and around all the river roads and drink beer and just shoot the bull and just life till we couldn't life no more throughout the day. And that's what we would do on a Sunday. It was a lazy Sunday, just drink beer and ride and shoot the bull, you know, just have a good time. This is just beautiful mountain land up there, these old dirt roads we'd ride on and stuff. And I just loved getting out and seeing the country. But I remember telling Tommy, I said, you know what? I said, they've got to be a better life than what we're living, the way we're drinking all the time and stuff. You know, I said, you know, we ought to think about maybe going to church next Sunday. And I'll never forget what he told me. He said, well, I'll tell you what. He said, next Sunday, I've got some Sunday to go to meeting clothes now. He said, next Sunday when you come over, he said, you just let me know if I need to put my Sunday to go to meeting clothes on. We'll go to church. He said, if you don't, just fill a cooler up of beer. And he said, we'll go drink a few beers. And I'll never forget the Sunday. This is Sunday, last Sunday I seen him while he was alive. He told me, he said, were we going to church or what we doing? He said. And I said, no. I said, I got the cooler filled up with beer. And he just grinned. He said, let me go on in and get ready. So he went on in and got ready. And that's the last time. That was about a week before he was killed. And I look back and think everything was alive. Everything in me was just screaming that we needed to do something else. It's almost like you could feel something. There was a lot of things that wasn't right about the stuff that was going on. People around us, not us. I mean, it wasn't nothing that we were doing or nothing we were involved in or anything, you know, for anybody to bring any harm to me or him. I mean, he never done nothing to get anybody to do anything to him that I know of, and I didn't do anything to get anybody to do anything to me. It's, you know, it's just sad that you can get in one of these positions like this for something that you didn't do, but it comes from being around overzealous officers, and I believe they thought that my uncle done this, and I believe they thought that I knew whether he done this or not. I mean, I think they thought they were going to try to pressure me if I did know something to tell on him if he did. And I believe they thought, because I wouldn't, I believe they thought that I knew if he done this or not, and because I wouldn't help them the way they thought I should, is the reason they turned on me and went after me the way they did. Because anybody that knows me, especially the people that knew me and Tommy, they knew I would never put a hand on him and hurt him in any kind of way. And especially the people that knew me, that personally knew me, they'd tell you there ain't no way you'd ever get me to raise a hand to a female. I mean, that is something that's plumb out of the question for me, because that's just something. I mean, you ask the woman that I was married to. She was a woman that, I mean, she liked to stand up and use her fist and fight, and I would just grab her. I never could put a hand on her, but I just didn't believe in doing that. Like I said, my mama and grandmother, one thing they always installed in me is you don't ever raise a hand to a female. And I just always believed you didn't do that. It's just something you didn't do. And this was, to me, this was gut wrenching to even be charged with this. When they charged me with his murder and his sister's murder, I'm telling you, I was. I don't like stay in the jail cell and I waited for a time. This sitting there about literally being charged with something like this. I'm thinking, how can they got to come and realize that I didn't do this, and they're going to come and say, well, you know, we've realized that, you know, that you didn't have anything to do with this, and we're going to drop the charges and turn you loose. But no, that never did happen. I kept sitting there thinking, it wasn't to me the disgrace I worried about anybody else. It was the disgrace to me of how I lived my life. I mean, I lived it. I didn't have a lot in my life. I mean, I grew up poor as about poor could be. But I did have some standards of how I was, you know, how I was raised. How my grandmother, my mama, and my aunts and stuff raised me. I mean, when you were raised with beautiful women like I was, there ain't no way you're going to ever put a hand on a female. I mean, it's just the way it was. I mean, I don't know of anybody in my family other than my daddy maybe slapping my stepmother on the back of the head for beating me the way she beat me. But I know he'd come home sometime and he'd find me and I'd be whooped up pretty good and bruised up and battered up. And he'd say, I told you to quit beating on my boy like that. And he would never hit her in the face. He would just take his hand and he would slap her in the back of the head and stuff. He wouldn't hit her real hard like he was really trying to hurt her bad or nothing. He would just just enough to let her know, hey, you got to quit beating my boy like that, you know. But other than that, I never did know anybody in my family that ever would raise a hand to a female, you know, like that to do anything. And so that's one of the disgusting parts about this is, and just the fact of think about you got somebody here that you feel that's your best friend, somebody that you spend most of your time with. Then you're ended up you lose them in the fashion that I lost him. And you're trying to deal with this too. You're not only having to deal with the fact that you just lost your friend in this kind of way, but not only that, they charged you with this. And you're sitting there dealing with this, and you're trying to think, God, you know, I can't even. I mean, my mind was just like in a whirlwind. And I'm sitting there thinking. I remember one day I'd been locked up for a while. I'm sitting there thinking. I thought, Lord, you know, I ain't even thought about a beer, and I drank quite a bit of beer. Me and him drank a lot of beer. I mean, I did drink a lot of beer as far as that goes. I never did really get drunk. People used to say
Adult beverages.
You know, adult beverages. I would drink a lot of adult beverages, but I mean, I still worked every day. I never did let it bother me. I wasn't one of those people that just drank. And some people just drink and they just become, I guess, a drunk, you know. And I guess I was a functional drunk. I guess you could probably say as much as I drank. I drank quite a bit, but I still worked every day and never did let it bother the things that I'd done in life. But I remember sitting there thinking one day, you know, I thought, wow, you know, I ain't ever even thought about a beer, but I had so much on my mind thinking about all of this, you know, and I don't know, one side of your brain, I think it happens like this, so one side of your brain can help heal the other side and make you understand. Because I remember thinking, you know, when I found out that he was gone, and I'm thinking, one side of your brain's telling you, oh, no, it's not true. You know, the other side's thinking, well, yeah, you know it's true because they're telling you that, you know, he's gone and they found him and stuff, you know, and, but I don't know. This has definitely been a nightmare that's been with me all these, and it's still a nightmare every morning. You wake up. Sometimes you wake up and you're having a good dream. You wake up and thinking, oh Lord. You know, you wake up to a nightmare when you look at and you see these four concrete walls, you know, and thinking, wow, you know, I've been laying here all these years for something I had absolutely nothing to do with what's happened here, and but still yet I've done all of these years. Now they're wanting to take it to the next level and take my life, you know, and it's. I don't know, and this just looks like I don't know what you do about it. I mean, I've not had anybody to help me in all these years. These lawyers, when the lawyers they give you, all you end up being to these lawyers is a meal ticket. It's all you end up. They take your case. Oh, they'll come out and see you here and there. Oh, we're doing this, we're doing that. Then when you look up, they say, well, we've transferred you off to another lawyer, and they come and tell you the same thing. And none of them ever goes after all the stuff that these people's done. They lied, they forged, they fabricated. They couldn't even arrested me if they hadn't went in front of a grand jury and told them that they had 3 eyewitnesses that could put me and my co-defendant, which is my uncle, on the scene of this crime. They couldn't even arrest me. They just straight up lied, and ever from that point on, that's all they done through the whole thing was lied, forged, and fabricated. You don't get evidence against somebody that did commit a crime unless you do lie and forge and fabricate. But I've never had a lawyer that's ever wanted to stand up and go against these people, and all of these years later, and I know what they're doing now. They're just trying to sweep it up under the rug and hoping, that they go ahead and take care of me next December the 3rd, and that way they can sweep it up under the rug and clean their hands of it, and they'll be through with it. But you just can't get nobody to help you, seems like. All these years, the lawyer that I had, I remember in the beginning, my federal lawyer, everybody kept saying, well, you're not getting no help done with the state lawyers because they just go along with the court. And I remember them saying something about the first case on this here, the judge that convicted me, his wife was an appeals court judge. I said, well, how does that work? I said, if the judge here is convicting me and he's sending me and you're appealing it to the appeals court, or his wife's appeals court judge, they say, oh, she won't be on your case. So they'll take her off of it. I said, so you think one of her friends, these other appeals court judges, is going to rule against her husband, the judge? And I'm thinking, I'm uneducated, but I've got enough sense to know that that's not going to happen. Then everybody kept saying, well, once it gets in the federal will do something. There's no way that the federal will let this stand with all the stuff that they done in your case where they lied, forged, and fabricated. You got pictures showing that they planted shell casings. You got statements that they just forged and fabricated and signed people's names to them. But they admitted to. I'm not just saying that they done this. They admitted to.
You have 1 minute remaining.
Right.
They just.
Do y'all want him to call back and ask questions, or do we want to wait to do that next week?
Well, I need to give his phone.
Oh,
up.
okay.
I need to give his phone up because there's other people that need this.
Okay.
But I love you all. Thank you all for listening to me, to my crazy history, my history, and that's just a little top of it. It was probably worse than what probably some of the stuff I said, but to me I still think I had a pretty decent life coming up. It was poor, but I think when you're poor, you learn to appreciate everything that you do get, and you appreciate it a lot more when you don't have anything. But thank you all, and I love y'all so much for sitting and listening to me ramble on about my old country life and the way I come up and the stuff, and I hope Carolyn ain't my other half ain't too bossy to you all. She gets real bossy with me, when I'm about calling and stuff. But
everybody says to tell you they're behind you. Okay. All right. And that was him. And thank you all for listening to him.
Oh, that was precious.
It was.
He's not got to tell his story, so I just feel like I just want to let him talk. And I love that you all have listened to him, but he's just genuine, and that's why I guess that's what made me fall in love with him to begin with, and then of course I couldn't stay away. So here we are, and I just appreciate all of y'all for helping. Thank you all I've got someone that says listening in Sevierville now. Thank you, because this is a Sevier County, Blount County case that, like Gary said, they forged, they fabricated, and they made up everything. So thank you all.
My heart hurts for that man.
I can't imagine. I just can't. I can't even imagine.
So the thing with Gary is what you hear is the person that he's always been. And I know I told some people the other night, for the new ones that are coming in, I was with Gary the weekend this all happened. I know he didn't do it. I wasn't his only alibi. That's the thing about it. And like he said, they wanted things out of him that he couldn't give them. So they just took him down this road. And for the ones that don't know, Gary wasn't tried by himself, so he did not have the jury of his peers. He had to sit beside his co-defendant, which was his uncle, and be tried as one. And the PI, that Heather Cohan, when she came in and went and talked to these people, half of these jurors said they didn't want to give it to Gary, but that was pretty much what they were told they had to do. So when I was with him, and then I was with him for about 5 years after this all happened, and then I couldn't do the prison thing anymore. I'm not gonna lie, it's hard. And so I guess in my mind, I thought I was doing him a favor to let him go and do what he needed to do. And so I went my separate way. And I always thought in my mind, well, it'll be a couple of years and it's going to go through the appeals court, and they're going to see that this was all a mistake. And if we were meant to be together, then he'll come find me. Well, 26 years later, still. Well, 26 years later, and here we are. And I appreciate every one of y'all, because in the past, when we try to tell his story, I mean, it's not like his family didn't do anything, because they tried a lot of things. But it was just like when one door opened for them, it shut. But it was also because his lawyer at the time, she didn't and then here we are. And that's why I'm back, and that's why I've been back, and that's why we're fighting. Because for the people that don't know, he has a date for December the 3rd of 2026, and we've just got to get his story out, because nobody knows his story. And that's where you all guys are helping, and I appreciate it so much.
Okay, who out there remembers Jerry Clower? I'm old. I remember listening to Jerry Clower on the radio. And Gary reminds me of Jerry Clower.
Oh my God, Tracy, I can't wait to tell him that.
Oh my God. You didn't even you didn't watch him on TV as you were going to bed. Jerry Clower. Woo! Jerry Clower. He reminds me with his stories. He can tell a story just like Jerry Clower could.
Yeah. Now, let me tell you, when he gets started, that's just mild of the stories that he can tell. That's just very mild, because like he was starting to feel a little bit more comfortable, and he was getting a little bit more into it. But I wish that, I mean, I can't bring him on without letting him know, because he would say things that he didn't need to say. But I wish you all could hear him when he's comfortable, and when he tells his stories. I mean, he's funny. Now, the stories that he tells, I know them all, because that's all he has is memories from he only has memories from 27 back, because he's been incarcerated since he was 27 years old. And yes, Gary did take the stand. He did take the stand. But it didn't matter. They didn't matter what anybody on his side had to say, or
They wrote the narrative, and
yeah,
he was the fall guy.
they absolutely did. And yeah, Justin, he has a book. Well, it's not his book, it's Heather's book. It's called Framed in the Smokies. That is Heather's investigation. And then Tracy, what's the new book that she just put out that's got two combined? What is the name of it?
Carolyn, I'm really confused about this because when I go to Amazon, I see the book, and I can mess something up, but I can also not quite get what I'm being told, but it can be somebody can make up their mind in a different way in a different time. You know the situation. So
Right.
I don't know if she changed her mind and it's framed in the Smokies and she decided to keep it. A book, but it looks like it's a standalone. You can order book with the cover that I
Oh,
showed you. If you go
well,
on
see, that's the
Amazon,
one. Yeah, that's the one I liked with the cover that you showed me and just Gary's story. Because
right.
the second one is like two stories. I mean, it's good, but it's like I don't know. That's
The
something
Don't
we're
reason
want
gonna
them
she,
to
have.
be confused.
yeah, the reason
Right.
she did that was because she had to take she was taking some things out of one and it reduced it to so small that she combined it with another, but it wouldn't be confusing. It would be two separate books in one cover is what it would be. However, it
Okay.
looks to me when I go on, I know she hasn't been feeling well, so I haven't even talked to her in probably 3 or 4 days. So it looks to me like that book is still up on the Zon. It still looks like it's a standalone book, but it's definitely downloadable. You can
Mhm.
get it on Kindle and something else
Can
downloadable.
we download it like through Amazon?
I'm
I think
see.
I think it is. I think it is, Tracy. Because Callie ordered it, and I think she ordered the hardback book. Of the
Oh,
new one.
okay.
I think that's what she said. But somebody said, "Can we get Heather up on the panel one night?" Yeah, she'll
I've
do it.
tried. Yeah, I've tried. She will get up, but she has to not be, yeah, combined with swift and justice. She has to not be working.
Right.
Oh, it's the most dangerous gang is what. Oh, oh, is it? It is Kelly? It's the most dangerous gang was another book that she had out.
No,
And
this the most. Yeah, the one that she said the most dangerous gang is with Gary and David combined. Like she
oh,
tells.
oh
Yeah,
my
she
God.
she tells. Yeah, she
You
tells
know that
about
was
David.
another book, don't you?
Yeah.
The
Mhm.
Most Dangerous
So,
Gang was a completely other book. Completely. And now she took
yeah.
that title and put on the outside.
Yeah, and it says, and it starts out, I think it tells, I don't know, Callie ordered it, so as soon as we get it, we'll look at it. But, Framed in the Smokies is just about Gary. It's Gary alone, but this one that she has out is David and Gary as like, she's trying to show how, I guess the system is and how they're like their own little gang and they do their own narrative, and if they want you they're going to do it one way or the other, and it shows that that's what they tried to do with David Swift, but he had a lawyer, and that's exactly what they did with Gary. So
Yeah, there are she might have combined all three of the books. The Most Dangerous Gang and then put the two cases in there to
yeah,
enhance that, and so it's actually all of them combined and those are case examples. I haven't I know I should know what the heck is going on, but
yeah, your
some
name's on there, Tracy. Your name is on
but
it.
I don't make the decisions on that and I don't have access to the Amazon account. So
Well,
I get told every so often what's going on some things, but
Callie ordered it. She said she ordered the paperback. So as soon as she gets it, we'll look at it.
happy place Gary can't get the book.
No, Gary can't get anything.
That's ridiculous.
Right.
That's just how I feel
Somebody
about
asked
it.
me,
Sorry.
yes. Kimmy, no. What they wanted Gary to give them information that he didn't have, just like they wanted me to give them information that I didn't have. I think on one hand they thought maybe that Gary's uncle had done it, but I'm just going to tell you, I don't think he did either. But I think what they wanted to do was scare Gary enough to tell them what they wanted to know. But like Gary said, if he did, he didn't know anything. So I don't know, because when they interrogated me, they did threaten to take my kids away from me. But just like I told them, I can't tell you what I don't know. So that's what he meant when he was talking about it, because there is just no other reason that they would to put him where he was. And the thing of it is when they tried to separate the trials, they said that it would be a nightmare to separate them because they had nothing on Gary and they would have to let Gary walk. So that's just him trying to figure out why in the heck he's where he's at and how in the world that they even got this kind of sentence on him. So that's pretty much what he's trying to say with that.
It's insane that it's too much trouble for someone's life.
Right.
Well,
That's what I was thinking.
yeah. So, but and then the thing about it too is they just didn't do their investigation. They zoned in on Gary and his uncle, and that was it. There were other suspects. They just didn't try to even find out anything about anybody else that could possibly have done it. There's kind of three other suspects, just besides Lester Johnson, and then Bill Cogdell. We need to get into him one night. But then there was another one that his wife even called the police and said, my husband came in, he burned his clothes in the backyard, but they just didn't feel like it was important.
Oh my
They
God.
never considered the other suspects. Heather, what is your question? And yes, Kimmy, it is a small town, but it was also back in the early 90s.
Heather was asking, where does the money for the book? Who gets the money for the book?
I don't know. Tracy, do you know?
I do not. No, I mean, I do know. I do not get any money, but Gary cannot get any money. He cannot make any money off of it. It
No,
cannot be done. If that's what the
yeah,
question is about.
yeah, no, he's not allowed.
And why would he not be allowed? Like, that's crazy.
It's state gives
Profiting,
stipulations.
that's profiting off of a crime.
Yeah.
That's profiting
Yeah.
off of a crime. And he is considered the guilty party. You can't profit off of a crime.
Oh my God.
That's why I've told him for years he needs to write his book, but if he did, he wouldn't get anything off of it.
Yeah, I understand it's normal, but like, that's crazy because I feel like this man is doing a sentence and he's not guilty of it. Like, how can they not relook at this? And Carolyn, I did see the Dropbox. I got that. There's no way.
Yep. Or you
There's
just
no
kind
way.
of like some of those things, you just shake your head. And I tried to put, like, I do not know how to do that Dropbox. My daughter did that, and she tried to put things in files. But did you see, for all you that are on the Dropbox, did you see the different medical people
Yes.
that said that there's no way it happened on a Friday night?
Yes.
Well, anybody from Tennessee knows about that medical examiner. So how that didn't come into play, that just saddens me. But the corruption is real, and we're going to scream it from the top of our lungs.
Right. Yes. So for, I guess too, I need to explain for those that don't know what we're talking about. The state had to have Tommy unalived on a Friday night because that is the only night that they could put Gary and his uncle with Tommy whatsoever. That's the only night. They did not find Tommy until Monday afternoon. So that gives you Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and half of the day Monday. When they found Tommy, he was in full rigor mortis, and these other medical examiners came in and said there's no way it had to be early Sunday morning or late Sunday night, early Monday morning. But then Dr. Charles Harlan, if you look him up in Tennessee, he came in last.
Horrible person.
Go ahead, Samantha. Do what?
He is a horrible person, and there are
He is a
several
horrible.
stories
Yeah.
of neglect, and possibly he did not even have a degree.
They should have pulled all of his cases. Every one of them.
They pulled most of
That's the
them. They pulled
problem.
most of his case.
But why not Gary's? That's what doesn't make any sense.
We're making that happen. We're pushing at the top of the level.
January 20th, right?
Yes. For anybody that don't know, January the 20th, we're having a press conference at the Capitol. I already have some news people saying that they will be there. So if anybody knows any other people that can get it out, we welcome you. So if you can come to the Capitol in Nashville, we'll be there January the 20th at 10 a.m. and that's Central Time. So that will be 10 a.m. Central Time. Yes, that's right.
That's 11 a.m. Eastern time. Yeah. And that will be, it's an invitation. What she's doing is she's inviting everyone to please come out. If you can, please, please, please come out and support.
Yes, and stand with us. If you can't, then Tracy is doing a call-a-thon. What time are you starting it on the 19th, Tracy?
It's going to be 24 hours and then end with the press conference. So it's going to end at 10 a.m. Central, which is 11 a.m. Eastern. So I'm starting at 11 a.m. on the 19th. And it's going to continue all the way till 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 Central on the 20th.
So Tracy's going to do the call-a-thon. For anybody that will join her, anybody that wants to come on the live with her, Cheryl, she's going to come. Cheryl, we've volunteered you. I don't know that I know you will, but Cheryl wrote a poem about Gary for Christmas, and it's absolutely beautiful. So she's going to read it. You come on and chat with Tracy. You want to sing, you want to dance, you want to whatever, because Tracy's going to sing and dance, and just a call-a-thon and do it. And she's going to do it up until time of the press conference. We're going to do the press conference. We're going to have people there live streaming. We got media coming. It's just, we've got to get this story out. And our big thing right now is we need Governor Lee to look at this. All Governor Lee has to do is look at it, and he can say, I wish you'd pardon him is what I want. But at this point, if he just commutes his sentence, then he can come on home. We don't have to worry about this date coming up, and then we can do what we have to do. But I believe if Governor Lee would just sit down and he would look at this, that he would say, send the boy home. I just believe that, because everybody that I have give access to the Dropbox. Everybody that knows Gary's story, everybody that knows Dr. Charles Harlan, everybody that knows everything, so far that we've been telling is facts. He's innocent. He didn't do this, and I cannot see the governor sitting down and looking at this and not seeing that for himself. So at this point, we need the governor. So we need media. We need the public behind it. And then at 7 o'clock that night, we're going to try to go speak to some representatives and senators again too that week. But at 7 o'clock that night, which is 7 o'clock, help me out here, Central Time, we'll be in Paris, Tennessee, and we'll be on the Mike Weatherford show. So January the 20th, I guess, is Gary's day, and Gary's army is theirs. So that's what we're doing on the 20th. And someone said, I don't know who is Don Lemon. Do y'all know who he is? I need to write this stuff down.
Sometimes we got to be careful and really check into whoever it is, because depending
Guys,
on.
please go over to Governor Lee's Facebook and spam in his comment section with free Gary Wayne Sutton. Hear the people.
And be respectful.
Yes, please be respectful.
Okay, he's a CNN. Okay. Yeah, we need to be respectful. You can also call. Everybody's been calling the governor's voicemail, and you can call that at 615-741-2001. Anybody can call. Call and be respectful. And if all you want to say is free Gary Wayne Sutton, just do it, because we got to get him to listen to us, and that's why we're doing this, and that's why we just got to get his story out. And like Samantha told me, she's talked to some people that I never thought these people would listen, and it's amazing, and it really I'm just so grateful that I can't even find my words to tell you how much grateful we are.
We are going to do this. He's coming home. We're going to get all the We are. I believe.
And if y'all will go over to change.org and look up Gary Wayne Sutton and sign that petition. Carla said right now we have 836 signatures. We need to get those signatures out there as well. And just whatever. And if anybody, if you want to private message me here, and like I said, I don't know what I'm doing, and we just need help. And everybody behind us, this is great. I appreciate it. And we ride it down, mount up. I love it. At this point, it is the governor. All his appeals have been exhausted. So at this point, yes, it is the governor.
And it's messed up because he really didn't even have a chance at appeals because of that attorney.
No, right. He didn't. And that's what, yeah.
That's the messed up part.
Yeah.
That's what's got people so. That attorney, Gary could have been home a lot sooner.
Gary doesn't even know about TikTok, and yet he's a TikTok star already.
Right?
He doesn't. And I try to explain it to him, but he can't wrap his head around it. And two, he's always just, and me too, we've always been told, well, he's on the road, so they had to have some kind of evidence. They did not. They had none. This was fully circumstantial evidence.
That doesn't mean that they have any type of evidence against Gary. That doesn't mean nothing. Just because somebody is on the road doesn't mean. I know a girl right now doing a life sentence without the possibility of parole, and the same as Gary. There was no DNA that was linked to her. There was nothing. Nothing. And they needed a conviction.
See, it could happen to
Yeah.
anybody. It could happen to any one of us.
That's the same with this case. And anybody who is in here from Tennessee, Sevier County and Blount County, we all know. We all know what the system is and what they do. Every penny, they don't pay for justice, they pay for injustice now. And it is a corrupt county. But God bless that Ogle is out of that courthouse. God bless.
Yeah. Yeah. I just, like I said, Gary was 27 and I was 24. So can you imagine how scared we were? I was scared to death.
Sure. Oh my goodness.
And when I got to testify and then go in the courtroom afterwards, because I was not, you're not allowed in there until after you testify. And then I was able to go sit in that courtroom and sitting there and hearing the lies and the fabricating and just sitting there thinking that didn't happen, but you can't jump up and say liar, or whatever, because they'll put you in jail. But just sitting there and then just thinking, well, they really don't have anything, so he's going to come home. And that's what, when he first got arrested for it, that's what he said. He goes, it'll be all right. They'll see that I didn't do this and I'll be home. Well, that's what we thought. Then we went through the courts and all the things that they did, and then they got convicted for that. So then it was like, I remember a lot of stuff in the county courts that they would say, well, the judge would say, well, the appeals court can take care of that. The appeals court can take care of that. When they could have nipped it in the butt right then and sent him home, they let everything go through that court, and they would say, well, the appeals court will take care of it. So that's kind of how your county does. The state will let it go through, and then when it goes to the appeals, they're the ones that's supposed to take care of it. Well, I'm convinced now that the appeals court judge, they don't even look at it. They just deny. But then if you look at his appeals and you read what his lawyer did, she didn't even represent him. There was so much that she should have put in those appeals that she just tipped a little bit. And she knew what to write to for them to deny that. But then when you go through all that and you don't get anything, and then what happens? He's where he's at, and they still yet didn't have anything on him. And that was the thing with his appeal, that they didn't let him read his appeal. They didn't let his brother read it. She said it was going to be a surprise. And after it got denied and they got to read it, then it was like the DA wrote that. She put in there pretty much everything that made him look like he did something. And that was who was supposed to be representing him. And
It's not about it's not about justice. It's about a win.
Yeah. And then for 12 years, she didn't talk to him. So for 12 years, he didn't have anybody doing anything. And like he said, he's in that little, he calls it a concrete tomb is what he calls it most of the time. He's sitting there. He doesn't know what's going on out here. Family didn't really know what to do because she was supposed to be the one to help him. And then here we are, 35 years later, and now he has a date.
Unfortunately, in that area, in those counties, this happens on a day-to-day basis because attorneys are too busy making deals with the next clients. They'll throw away one client for the next win as a trade-off. And I know because I was in that system, and I had to leave that system because I couldn't do it anymore.
Right. Right. And then you've got your people, and I hate to even admit this, but I never did have to deal with law enforcement. And when I was growing up, it was the law enforcement was the people that protected you. So what they did and what they said, you believed everything that they did. So I was that person. And then I was with Gary and we got pushed through this and I sat through these trials and then I'm like, they're lying. They're lying through their teeth. They're putting statements and they're putting stuff together that didn't happen. And then, you know, if I hadn't have had to be in this situation, I would still be one of them people that had my head in the sand thinking, well, they're the law enforcement. They're correct. Whatever they do is right. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. They think, well, he's on the road, so he did it. And so, and sadly, that's how a lot of people's minds are with it.
That's what irritates me, is just because he's on the road doesn't mean he did anything.
Right. But yeah, so at this point, Victoria, she said she got her book today. He does have some new lawyers now, which were very, very helpful with these lawyers. These are lawyers that I already know because I asked them when we got to talk to him. That was one of my first questions. And I looked at him and I said, I'm going to ask you a question. If you hesitate, then I'm, you know, I said, I just want to know, do you think that Gary is innocent? He didn't hesitate. I hardly got it out of my mouth. He goes 150% he is. So I really think that they are going to do, I think it's going to be good on that end. And now he has also the Alabama Chew, and it's a capital habeas unit out of Alabama as well helping. And these guys are like, he's innocent, you know, we got to do this, you know, right now we have to do the clemency. But all these years that he has been incarcerated, because when I came back in the picture and started talking to the lawyer that he had, I asked her that, do you think he's innocent? And she never gave me a straight answer. And when I asked her, so you're friends with the DA, because Gary says that, you know, you have to be friends with him because the way the appeal reads. And she told me no at the time. But then later on we were talking because we have some new, we had a new DA in Sevier County. And I said, well, we have that new DA and what his name was. And she goes, oh yeah, I remember him. He was a lawyer when I was a public defender. And she was a public defender in Jefferson County. And Samantha, you probably may know this or not, but Al Smutzer was the district attorney then. And he was the district attorney in that county. So you're not going to tell me that you were a public defender in that county back in the day and you didn't know who this district attorney was. So I call her out on that.
Absolutely conflict.
So it was, and plus then she also was, before she went to where she's at, in the federal unit, habeas in, here in Knoxville. So I think what is that, the East Tennessee district. She was also a clerk in the appeals court. So I, in my opinion, and I'm convinced that she knew all about Gary's case before she ever ended up where she was at, and the case came to her. I really think she knew about it when it happened. She knew about it when things came through the appeals court. So, and that's my opinion, and that's how I feel about it.
And I agree 100% with you.
So she's not gonna tell me. And the sad thing about it is Gary tried to get her off of his case for many, many years, and the courts just wouldn't let it, because that's what happens when you have a public defender. You can't just fire them because they're not going to give you another one. So he tried, and then when I came back in, I filed stuff to try to get her off. And I think because I started trying with media and started pushing at the Capitol, because I went and talked to some people at the Capitol and we started doing that. That's when she decided to tell the courts that she was going to hand it over to someone else. And they went through I think they talked to two other, because you have to have a chew on it for the clemency. In Alabama, chew said yes, they would take it. And so I'm hopeful with Alabama too, because they're not from Tennessee and they don't know these people and they could care less if they come in here and make people mad. So that's how that came about. She would still be on his case if we hadn't have been pushing her to get off. And yeah, some people speculate that they won't because they don't want to have to pay him. We'll sign something. We don't want any money. If they're
Pass
afraid
that
he wants
forward.
money, yeah, we don't want any money. He'll sign the paper. Just let him come home.
I sent that message.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I sent that message.
Okay, good. Yes, for those that want to recap, this is the page for Gary Wayne Sutton. He is on the row in Tennessee. He is innocent. We have everything to prove that he is innocent. They had no motive. They had no eyewitnesses. They had nothing on Gary. And so what we're trying to do right now is we need to get to the governor to look at this before an innocent man is unalived for something he didn't do. He was accused of unaliving his best friend and his best friend's sister. And yeah, we just want him out. We want him home. You know, he was 27 when he went in. Gary will be 61 in February. And I just, you know, we're in our golden years now. I'd like to live out the rest of my golden years doing what we should have done 35 years ago.
Breaks my heart.
So,
And people
yeah,
should
everybody
care
please
because
call-
it could be any of us. That could happen to any of us. They should want to fix this.
The fear of the payout is what makes them not want to do anything. The state does not want to have to pay somebody they wrongly put on the row. That's a lot of years and a lot of money. And so everything revolves around money within this industry.
Right. No, I don't mind you asking. They tried them together, Knoxville Jeep. They tried them together as one. Like, they had same jury, same judge, same everything, same sentencing. So he got the exact same thing. They both got the exact same thing. But his uncle passed away 3 years ago. No, he never should have been tried. Okay, so if in this day and time with the forensic stuff, with the investigation, with everything, there's no way that I don't think there was any way that he could be tried today. So even if they would just give him a new trial, I don't think it would go back to trial because they just don't have anything that would be able to take him back to trial. At least I would hope not in this day and time. Back then we didn't have social media, so the only story that got out is what the state put the narrative of. No one ever heard his side of the story. All they ever heard was these two people, here's what they did, they're guilty, and they did it from day one. So from the day he was arrested for a whole year, that our local newspaper had them on the front page. There's like 180 something articles, and I went and pulled every single one of them. It took me all day because they don't have it on discs. I had to literally pull the book that was the actual newspapers and go through the newspaper, and I pulled out over 100. I want to think it was 182. I I might be a little high, but it was over 120 articles that year that just said they're guilty. They did this, they did that. It was nothing that, nobody ever was like, hey, they didn't do. I'm sorry. Hey, they didn't do this. They didn't have this. They didn't have that. It was all what their narrative was, and it was all over. Gary had 2 lie detectors tests. He had 2, and he passed both of them. And Gary did not know Lester. They said if they separated the trials, they would have to let Gary go. He did. He passed it twice.
If they were to hold a trial today, they would have a decent medical examiner up there that didn't purposely try to side with
Heather,
the.
yeah, Tracy, tell everybody about Charles Harlan, because you say that you tell the story very well and you're very knowledgeable about his other wrongdoings, but go ahead and tell everybody about Charles Harlan.
Okay, Charles Harlan was a medical examiner, and I don't get it right every time, Carolyn, but there were 2 medical examiners that testified, correct?
There were 2 medical examiners. What is the bug man? You know how to say that word. There was that.
Entomologist.
There was entomologist. There was Dr. William Bass. So that would be 4, but he was everything. He was medical examiner. He owned the body farm at UT. So there was all these people. So there was probably 5 people that would be against Dr. Harlan.
Okay, Dr. Harlan testified against Gary. He was trying to get Tommy's unaliving to match what the prosecutors needed. Dr. Charles Harlan used photographs of slides. Am I correct in that, Carolyn? Photographs of slides. He didn't even have the slides. He looked at photographs of slides that you would put in a microscope. And in those slides, he determined the TOD, or the time of unaliving. The other medical examiners got on and said, no way, you cannot tell by that. That is so incorrect. That can't be done. And Dr. Harlan lost his license for having, I cannot recall the exact number of issues that they had with this man. He had done so many wrongdoings, in which I don't think it was a lack of knowledge or a lack of anything other than it was, in my personal opinion, he wanted to satisfy the prosecution so he could be hired and run his business, because he had his own lab and his wife worked at the lab. It was just that. And then, yes, Dora has done some work on it too. And I just like to read this quote. This is from another medical examiner. This is from a lady. And it says, in 1995, 4 years before the Burgess case, which is another case that he was involved in, Dr. George Nichols, now this is a man, then Tennessee's chief medical examiner, wrote to the Tennessee Bureau of Investigations, or the TBI, after reviewing Harlan's medical opinions. If this line of irrational thinking has been applied to other cases, which this is, and it has, Gary's, other cases in the state of Tennessee, then God help you and the rest of the citizens of Tennessee.
What is this in the Dropbox saying the state of Georgia versus Gary?
Gary was a teenager, and his brother came through, and when his brother was involved, it wasn't Gary. When they were in Georgia, there was some kind of description with his uncle, which is the one he sat beside the court with, and they went to jail for it. And like I said, they were teenagers, so they brought that stuff up as a juvenile, and Gary's brother getting up saying, I'm the one that did the time for it, not Gary. I'm the one that was involved, not him. You got to remember too, he was 14 years old when he was in Georgia, and that's what that's about. And they brought that up in court, trying to get the jury to think that he's this awful person, which was juvenile, in which it was that he wasn't even involved in it.
Yeah, that makes that I see that and I'm like, dude, seriously, they really tried to pull this up?
Isn't
they
it
absolutely
supposed to? Isn't that supposed to be sealed as a juvenile record anyway?
has to be.
Correct.
They do whatever they want.
And hold on a second. That pew pew, that is a shot gun.
Okay.
That casing.
Correct.
Yeah, and
That
tell them about the
casing has a
pictures.
red that casing has a red shell around it.
And they're lying together, like side by side.
That
like they were
doesn't
placed
match the
there.
one found at the scene. It doesn't match it at all, because I'm looking directly at it. If you are looking at the actual crime scene photos and you take a look at the straight crime scene photos of the one of the man, and if you look at it up close, that casing is a red schmott gun with a golden top. And the one in the pictures that allegedly did the crime that's not even a match. That's not even a match at all.
And they weren't there the first time, right?
No, in the first photo, they're not.
Right.
I'm literally looking, hold on. It's the one, okay. Hang on. The one in the first photos of the man, there's nothing on the ground but trash in the wooded area. Now, the photos of the actual, like there's like some trash and it looks like an old couch that maybe somebody threw in the woods. And then a cup, like a styrofoam cup. And then when you get over to the up close pictures, there's still nothing in the vicinity of the ground. But then when you get to one crime scene photo, there's a green shotgun casing and then a red one.
And they're laying side by side. Like,
girl, this is a single one.
Oh.
This is a single one.
Yep. So Judy, my friend Judy, was asking me about that stuff too, and I'm told her, I said, I don't know. I don't understand it. I don't know, but what you're saying is yes. And two, and when Gary will get to it one night, is that when we were in court, they had, and this is something else too we've been trying to find, they had two photos that was blown up to like a 3x4 or like, pretty, to put it on a stand. So the first photo was Tommy there, and there was nothing in that picture. The second photo they had was they went and they searched his uncle's house, and that's where all this came into place. So the judge said yes, that search warrant was invalid and illegal, but they had to have it because the state had to have it. So what had happened is they went to his uncle's house to do a search. And I remember when they did this, because me and James's wife had pulled in the driveway. There was all these cop cars and all these law enforcement that was already in her yard. And that was something they went through the court too, because, they weren't supposed to go on the property until they were told that they could go on the property. But they went on that property before anybody was there. So when we pulled up, they were like, you know, whatever, however, they were already there. And
Yeah,
so this, you know, they did the targets and all that. So there was all kinds of those laying around everywhere. So they picked up 40
that's crazy.
bags. They picked up 40 bags from their yard and from the burn barrel and everything else. So then right after they did that is when they went back to the scene, the crime scene. They went back, and because the detective said, something just told me I needed to go back because I felt like that we missed something. So after they did that search, after they picked all those up, they went back, and lo and behold, they found those can I say shells?
Yes.
Anyway, they found those shells, but that was after. So, like, if you get on Fox Channel 17 and watch Dennis Ferrer's his news segment about it, just like he says, when something happens at the scene of a crime, when you investigate, you have to look at everything in every little square, in every little spot. They didn't find anything the first time. But they did after they went and searched his uncle's house and went back. So the first photo was of Tommy, same picture, you know, place and everything. There was nothing there. The second photo was the same picture. The same picture, but that's after, you know, a couple days later. And of course, Tommy wasn't there. Then there was those shells. One of the jurors told Heather that she had asked about that. Why are they in this picture and not in that picture? And they told her that was none of her concern, that she didn't need to be asking those questions.
Oh, bullshit. Bullshit.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to tell you right now, I'm looking at this, and why in the first picture he's slightly on top of the hill, and the second picture he's not.
Yep.
Why is his spotty a little lower on the hill? And they're wanting to know, Carolyn, if I can just show the pew pew shell real quick to them. I'm not showing the graphic photos, just the leaves and the shell.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
I want you guys to see this, and this entered in the main back of the head. So this was the back of the head. This is the shell casing.
Yeah.
A whole different in that shell casing, and then what was the picture of the two ones side by side.
Judy said that's the picture. She'd been trying to tell me about that picture, and I look at these pictures and I'm like, I don't know one from, you know, the
and
shells.
check this out. It was laying beside of a beer can that was underneath leaves. Look, right there it is. You can see the green.
They moved it to match their narrative.
Correct.
That's what I was saying. Yeah.
And the pew pew, and if you're looking at the actual the man's body in the photos, one of them include him laying near like a tree stump. It looked like a tree stump that had been freshly dug up or died off, like a tree. You know how when they look when they die off, they're kind of like just blank. They're brown. In that photo, he's slightly laying up the hill, but then in the secondary photo, he's down the embankment.
Oh, like they moved him.
They moved him when they were not supposed to touch him.
They just botched that.
Pappy said, "Can he have a box?"
Yes, let me try.
Carolyn, if you actually look, it's called screenshot. It ends in 846 PNG. That one, compare that to 740 PNG. That's not the same. He was laying flat down on his face at the time, but then in the secondary photo, he's laying over an embankment. That makes zero sense. Totally opposite direction of where the photos should have been. Over the embankment underneath a bunch of branches. That's not there in the first photo.
Right.
That's not how he's positioned in the first photo either.
Okay, that casing is either a 12 or a 20. I'm not sure which because they're approximately the same size.
12, I think, Pappy.
I was thinking of 12 also.
Yep. I'm thinking it's 100% a 12. That is not what they described either.
What did they describe?
Carolyn, what was that weapon that they said was used? I think it was
the one that they tried. I think it was a British 303.
Not a chance in hell. Because
That's right.
those shell
Right.
casings there
Right.
have buckshot in them.
correct, and those are a 12 gauge.
And would spread.
There would be a pattern, not a single entry. It would be more of a.
It's spread out.
It would look more like a dartboard after a hard night of playing darts. You know, all the holes in the pattern. It would be a spray pattern.
Correct, and that shell casing is a 12 gauge. That is not. And based upon the entrance, the autopsy there, the entrance went straight into the back of the head, like right at the bottom of the neck, where the head meets the neck.
Unless it was like a deer rifle, but.
So when they went and searched James's house, his uncle's house, they found the British. It was a British 303.
Okay.
And then they tried to say that is what was used, and that is it some kind of another piece that went to it or something. They couldn't find, so they went shopping around. I mean, they went to like 6 or 7 different places to say that could have been what was used. That's how they used that, and then they took that pew and they gave it to the jury and passed it around and said this is like what they used. So they never had a weapon. That's where some people think that they thought that they said they had a weapon. No, they didn't. They never had a weapon.
Okay, so what we're seeing though, those shell casings, they fit in either a 12 to 12. There's 410, there's 12, there's 20. Those are the different gauges, right? So that shell that we just seen is either a 12 or a 20. And you can tell by the girth of the shell itself.
So that might be what Gary was talking about. He explains it, but I don't know. I don't know anything about that stuff.
And that,
but I'm glad you all know and y'all are seeing
and
it.
that green.
They are full of shit if they say that is a damn nah. That's a 12.
Yeah,
or you have like a 12 or a 30. Yeah.
A 303 has a brass casing, just like you would see for like a 22 or a 9 or whatever. What you see, that green is plastic. It's a piece of plastic that they wrap around the shot.
Yes.
And
that is the ones that are in the crime scene photos. So how in the damn hell are you going to magically get 2 other different casings that go to a British one and say that was the one that was used? When 12 gauge is what's pictured in the freaking crime scene photos.
Yeah.
Absolutely, Dora.
That. Yep.
And that might be something to take note of too, Carolyn, so that you have it noted down to bring up if that ever becomes a topic of conversation. That right there, ain't no way. And then in these photos, another point to make too is how he's positioned. That wasn't there He wasn't laying like that. He was laying flat down as if he was taking a walk and somebody came behind him and caught him off guard. That is how he was positioned up on top of the embankment. Secondary photos, second set of photos where the green casing is located. He's laying down the embankment.
You know, I haven't even noticed that, but you're right.
You look at his body and how he's positioned. He's positioned upward in the first set of pictures. Second set, he's down over the bank because the police are pictured going over the embankment.
Yep.
Coming up. But the first set, he's literally upward in an upward position.
Yeah, you're right. I didn't catch that, but you're right.
Yeah, how did his body move? He was already unalive, so how the hell did he get over the embankment down towards the river?
Remember, they're writing this narrative.
Yeah.
Hey,
They put him where they wanted him.
Rex, you're absolutely right. They are usually yellow for a 20, but I've got some green and I've got some red for my 20. So
My grandpa does too. He's got
that's
some
why I
green and
say
red.
it depends on what kind of shot they've got on them.
Yes, because I'm looking closely at the pictures. And we have to understand that these photos, like crime scene photos, are not like some other ones that we have seen because this is the 90s. You think you're going to have an older imagery when it comes to their picture taking. But if you're looking at the picture, that the first picture, and I don't know who's in here that has the Dropbox that would like to look at this with me and see what I'm pointing out. In the picture, and I don't know, Carolyn, if your daughter has the Dropbox maybe on her phone that you can see what I'm talking about. It's listed under screenshot and it ends in 740 PNG.
Okay.
It's the first photo of him. And look how he's laying. He's laying in an upward angle up the embankment. Now, the secondary picture, 846 PMG, he's laying down the embankment next to the river.
Oh, so yeah. See,
Because in the third screenshot that ends in 1912 PNG, they're pictured carrying him upward, up the hill.
Yeah.
How was that possible? He dang sure didn't. He didn't move from the same location.
Christine's got a good question. Was it buckshot or slug? It looks to me like it could be. Those shell casings go to buckshot.
No, it's definitely not the camera angle because the camera.
It's a British 303. That would be a slug.
I'm gonna tell you, and that was my first thought too. Like, oh, maybe this is the camera angle. But if you look at that, they would have had to be down there with their feet practically touching the river to get that angle. They would have had to be all the way down at the bottom from behind him to take that picture. They were on the side of him taking that picture of him laying upward. And he was laying upward on just a flat area with like a tree trunk stump looking thing. And then in the secondary set of pictures, he's laying downward facing the river area with underneath a bunch of brush and trees. That wasn't there in the first picture. It's not there.
That's what Gary has been talking about, trying to find those pictures, and I couldn't understand what he was trying to tell me. So that has to be what he was trying to talk about.
It'd be because if you look at the layout of the scene is very telling. That is your biggest telling parts of all crimes. Like I have seen, on a case that I was working on, I literally saw a triple schmomicide. And no freaking way his body would have been placed in that upward angle next to like the trees around him. And there wasn't any trees in the first photo, except for like a dried out looking stump, or it looks like a little small tree that had died off and turned brown. It was like a brown little tree stump. However, in the second set of photos, he's laying downward on the embankment, and then there's shrubs and like trees, and his body is up and underneath the tree-like stuff.
Heather's asking a question. She said, did Gary even know the guy? But wasn't
they
it
were
his best friend? Yeah.
Yeah, they were best friends. See, that's a whole another aspect of it too. When they went and bailed him out of jail, and Tommy had left earlier with a female. We don't know who the men were out on Alcoa Highway that Tommy was with when he got picked up to be taken to jail. And so when they came out of the jail after they went and bailed him out, when they came out, the woman that he had been with earlier was there to pick him up. And they never would go and investigate the vehicle that they said she was in, nor who, the description of the woman. And they didn't know who she was. So when they were out on Alcoa Highway and Tommy was picked up, he was on the back of a pickup truck. And I think it was, I know it wasn't a white truck, but I think they said it was like a dark colored truck with two other men that they never identified who they were. And there was a car of some women on down the highway that they never asked who they were. So it's like there's other people that they never would investigate. So it's just like it's so, like, I get exhausted trying to put all this stuff together, because someone asked if they both were in the same place. No, it was two separate. Connie was in Sevier County, and that's a whole nother thing. And if you read when you get on Indora, when you see the things of Connie, they actually was tire tracks behind her car that they did the impressions of, but the tire tracks was not the truck. It was not any of James's vehicles. It was not any of Connie or Gary's vehicles, but yet we don't know who these tires was, and they never went any further with that.
That didn't go with their narrative.
It didn't go with their narrative. Yeah, there's just so much. And then even the witnesses that they say they had, the ones that we've talked to today, especially the main one, she'll tell you that she doesn't know what she saw that day. That they showed her James's truck in the parking lot before she went in to testify. And when they showed her a board of trucks, that was the only truck that she could identify, because she just saw it out in the parking lot. And she said it was the first time she saw that truck. But yet, she also gave 3 other different statements too. First, it was a Bronco. Then it was this. Then it was that. So, but that's how they all weave and wind in together. And you get lost. You get so lost in it.
And I'm sure it is exhausting for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And
then,
and
like
over.
I said... Yeah. And then, like I said, and then when I get talking about it, you get confused, because if you don't talk about Connie, it doesn't make no sense with Tommy. And if you don't talk about Tommy to go to Connie, and like I said, it just weaves and winds in together. And so Tommy was found first. Yeah, there's a lot of pieces. And the whole thing with it is they never had anything. Just bottom line, they had nothing. It was all the things that they did. But like, Tommy was found first, then Connie, but we went to court for Connie first, and the only motive that they could give for Connie was that they were covering up Tommy, but yet they hadn't even been to court for Tommy yet. So it's just mind-blowing sometimes. Yeah, I do wish, like, when you all look at this and you all are seeing it and you all read it, you are looking at things that I have no idea. I mean, it's just great that you all are looking at it, and I'm glad that you are, because I'm just, I know we didn't do weird?
In the sister's report, She was found in the driver's seat, right?
Yes.
The fire looked like it started in front of the car.
Yeah.
Why on her report does it say they recovered a 303 cartridge?
They say that they did.
I don't
Did
see it.
they? I doubt it. I
To
doubt it.
match the narratives, they connect the two
But
cases
that's why they
together
tried
so
to
they could try
say,
them.
I'm sorry, Samantha.
They
I
needed to
don't
do
see it in
that so
those
that they could
photos at
connect.
all.
Yeah, they needed to do that so they could connect the two cases together so that they could be tried that way. Because technically, her case should have never have ever been tried before Tommy's. It should have never have been done that way. And now they're just trying to cover their asses.
Right. That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
You
And
cannot
two,
see no alone casing.
no. And when we went to Connie's trial, the whole time they tried to say that she was, pew-pewed, and that's where they took a pew-pew and they gave it to the jury and they passed it around and they said this is one like. But then at the end of it, when they gave their ending arguments, the DA goes, and remember, she was not unalived by a pew-pew, but yet during this whole trial you made the jury think that she was, but then at the end of it you say she wasn't, because they never could determine if she was unalived or alive when the car was aflame, and they could never determine that. At one point they thought it was an accident, at one point they thought she might have done it on purpose. I mean, they never came up with any motive. The only motive they wanted to say is they did it and that's it, and that's how they were going to go with it.
And remember, at that time, back then, they never pushed the process of reasonable doubt to these jurors. That wasn't taught.
No.
Things have changed so much, but they never, and they still, and really, to be honest with you, in the last 10 years, they still don't push the reasonable doubt. They should be given a packet with explanations explaining what reasonable doubt is, and they did not do that in this case.
Right. They didn't. And two, like when Heather came and talked to the jurors, every one of them would say he didn't do this, and one of them, she was so sweet. She's passed since then. She was the oldest juror back then, and like when Heather went and talked to her, I think she was in her 90s, and she just sat and cried to Heather because she's like, he didn't do this. Oh, they can't do that to him. And she didn't even, these jurors didn't even understand what they were signing and what they were doing. And even one of them said if they had separated them, they would have not gave Gary anything. So it's like, and then even one of the jurors said that he didn't have good counsel. So
Okay, let me make this quick so I can take us back down. That's 3 different sizes right there, and I put a quarter in the picture so that way you could see the difference in the sizes. The yellow one is buckshot. The other 2 come out of a slug pew-pew. Okay, so there's the difference right there. You can even see what they're saying is one that came out of his pew-pew would be like the 2 on the right. One of those different sizes. The yellow one is what they found at the scene. 2 totally different types of guns.
Yep.
yeah. Yeah, they had, yeah. So it's just bottom line, they have nothing. And like everybody says, like in the past, we're not supposed to say corruption. We're not supposed to say lies. We're not supposed to say forging and fabricating. But that's all this was. You want to look at the good old boys corruption right here. It is at its finest.
And it's everywhere.
It is everywhere. You just don't, like I said, you don't hear of it. And then I'm sure other people that's been in this position, they've been done the same way that Gary's been done. You can't do this. It'll hurt you. It'll hurt him. You can't do this. It'll hurt him. Nothing can hurt him at this point. Nothing can hurt him at this point.
No, they wanted to silence you, so you're the one hurting him.
They absolutely did. They absolutely did.
Exactly. Buckshot is like a bunch of BBs in a wrapped up plastic.
Yep.
Wow, and his artwork.
Yeah. Gary he loved working with wood, and he rebuilt houses and he built houses and everything. So now that's what he does. What you see, and he builds those patterns. He draws those patterns up and he makes those out of his mind. There's no one, like at one time his lawyer said, well, he made this out of a pattern. I said, you've lost your mind. He does not make this out of a kit. That's what she said. A kit.
Oh my gosh, does he make those purses?
He does. He does. I was wondering, I don't have one sitting right here, or I would show you.
I have the one
Callie?
in front of me if you want me to show it. The one he made you. It's got your name on it.
You sure can.
You guys, look at this.
If you go on my page, I have like a little snip that kind of goes through some of the things. But the lamp that he made me for my birthday, I think that out of everything, everything he makes me is special, but that one was really special. He made that for me for my birthday.
Does he do this in prison?
He does. He does. And he has very little tools to work with. Very little. So all that stuff that's carved, he does that by hand with just a very little tool, because of course they can't have all that. I was trying to see something I could grab to show you. Let me get my daughter-in-law. Callie, will you come and get your picture that he made you for your birthday so I can show it?
Oh my gosh.
They said the metallic frameworks that they found in Connie was like the bra strap. I'll show you this one picture. It's because I don't have anything to where I can grab, but he made this, and he's an artist too. He draws and he paints. So here's, if you can see it. Can you all see that?
Nice.
He carved that out. And he
Girl,
makes
look
frames.
at this truck that he made. Hold on, y'all. Look at that.
Let me show you Now that's my son's. He's got, if you find the motorcycles too, those are what's something too. And that's all detailed. He sits down and does all that by hand. Yeah.
I see a go ball.
Let me see if I can turn this around. This is the clock that he made. If you can see that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Dora, if you can find those motorcycles, that's what's really. And
right here.
He did this. This is my daughter-in-law and her dad. Go Vols. Yay.
Go Vols. Go Vols.
There's the motorcycles.
Okay, the one I've got up here now, that's what they say came out of the pew-pew.
Yeah. Now that is what I remember seeing in a picture.
But the casing doesn't match. Those green casings, They don't match. No way.
Wow.
Go call Sierra and tell her quit calling me.
Well, I've been texting her. She's not answering.
The positive thing.
Oh my gosh.
The positive thing, our friend, you know our friend, he is an avid hunter, and hunts wild game, large game, small game, and has his entire life. So he'll see that.
Oh
So
my gosh.
I just got a whatever you got. Here's one of the. He also does leather wallets, purses, and that's another thing. When he's
So
already saying he's wanting to make some stuff. So when Tracy has her call-a-thon, we'll figure out somehow to draw numbers and be able to send some of this stuff to people.
I
Oh,
would love it.
Pappy. Is that just for now? Please say just for now. They removed Pappy.
Oh, because he showed the.
Yes.
Oh
Why
no.
don't people? I mean, I know that they have stuff that they don't want on here, but I've seen some other posts and stuff where they're just
Right.
raunchy and they still don't do anything to them.
He should be
Yeah,
able
it
to come
doesn't
back
make
in
sense.
and come up. Usually when they do that, sometimes he can come right back in and come back up.
But that's not going to knock him off of TikTok, is it? Okay, let me see if I can. Oh, it's not going to let me. Shoot.
Do you get a notification of it though?
No.
Do they let Gary like now? Are you allowed to like
Oh,
do
now he's
calls
off
and
till January
emails with
8th.
him?
Do what now?
So you do like a lot of calls and emails with him?
A lot of calls. I talk to him every single day, and then they just got that, that I don't know how to say it without them getting on us since they're watching us now. It's what is it called? GTL is what it's called, and you can get it on there, and then you can text him that way.
Oh, and how long do they usually let him talk?
30 minutes. 30 minutes per call.
Really?
Yes.
Are you getting enough donations in for all these calls?
No, I pay for them.
Okay. Then we need to start doing something to help so that we can all
Yes,
hear
GTL on
them.
their tablet.
We need to do something about that.
Well, you know.
That'll be a
Can
nice
Pappy
thing
not?
afterwards.
Yeah, it costs money. It's like almost $3 per call. But I will tell you, when I first got back in it, it was almost $5 per call. Now it's like like almost $3 per call. So I spend about $6 a day to get to talk to him for an hour. So is Pappy off here just in the boxes, or did they put him off Facebook? Or
He said
I'm
he was
sorry.
off. He said he was off till January 8th. We love TikTok Shop. It's fine.
Yeah, TikTok Shop.
Oh, Pappy is gonna take that ban like a champ. I can promise you.
He said he was good, and someone told him they could appeal it too as like an educational thing.
Well, it kind of was because
Right?
I didn't know any of that stuff, and he made me. The way he explained it, I understand it a lot better now. Oh, I see. He can still chat.
Also, Carolyn, LEX is going to cover the story of Gary here in Kentucky. So I did get that sent over to them. I got the documents. I didn't include the pictures. I didn't want them to have those, the mainstream media to have those.
Right. Okay, great.
Just the inconsistencies. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yes, I do.
And I did get a
And
hold of
then
friends. We got a hold of our friends with channel 6, 8, and 10 out of Knoxville.
you did?
Absolutely.
Awesome. So I already know that channel 17 is going to be there. That's been confirmed.
Oh man.
So I do know channel 17 out of Nashville will be there, and I'm sure that 5 and 2 will be there too. I just have to call them. And I didn't have time today to do anything. I think I went by my desk about a few times and called and said free Gary Wayne Sutton. That's about all I got done today.
Oh yeah, honey, their phone lines, they definitely ain't liking that.
No. And if we can continue to do that, I think I thought it was this Monday. They're getting in and getting settled this week, but Monday they will all be in office full force for sure on Monday.
Yep, back from the holidays.
Yeah.
Facts.
Cash App. Do I have that? Callie, can I put that on here? I will shoot. I don't know how to do that. I'll just be honest with you. And I have one, but I don't know what it is. Let me see. Hold on just a second.
Ain't this crazy, Dora?
Oh yeah.
Hey, Dora, maybe can we do some lives and start from the get-go and start reading the legal docs? You can do lives with reading legal docs, and I think we should start reading the docs. And I understand legal docs and can read them. I think that we should do some live. You know, I won't go live on my, like, I only go in a box, but do those and start reading, and then that's going to get more people involved, especially these young students that are trying to have their internships and write their thesis, that are getting ready to be attorneys.
Oh, yeah, they'd want to scoop this up.
Absolutely. Those are the ones I'm targeting.
There we go. Callie's gonna pick. Can she put that Cash App in the comments? Oh, there it is. Can you all still hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, have her
Okay.
put it a few times. Have her put it a few times over and over so people can see.
Okay, Callie, they said put it. Okay, she is. But yeah, anything that you all send to that, I will make sure he gets it. It'll go to him. And then also, he has JPay. But yeah, so I think what I'm going to try to do, I keep saying it every week, but I just can't seem to get it together. I'll try to come on more some during the week to do a live. I was going to try to come on last Saturday when I was in Nashville, and I just got there too late. So
you are going to be in Nashville the 20th.
I'm going to Nashville on the 18th, and I'll be there from Saturday to Sunday. So yeah, I'll be there the whole week.
I'm 8.5 hours away, but I am trying to see if I can swing it. But
okay,
if I'm there, I'll find y'all.
Yeah,
If
I'll
not,
be there.
I'll be doing everything I can on TikTok if I can't get there.
I appreciate it.
Which way are you coming from?
I'm from Texas.
Well, I'm Oklahoma.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we own a business too.
And so my husband's trying to see if we can get out of that. Get away.
We would love to have
Let me
anybody and everybody
see.
there that could come. That would be awesome.
Hang on just a second, because I don't think Nashville is. Hold on.
What part of Oklahoma are you in?
North Tulsa.
Oh, okay. My daughter lives in Durant.
Courtney, I get to see him every weekend. It's if I see him Saturday one weekend, it's Sunday the next weekend. So they rotate Saturday and Sunday. I go at 8. I get 8 a.m. to 12, so I get to see him for, well, it's supposed to be 4 hours, but by the time I get through check-in and get through up to where he's at, sometimes I lose 45 minutes. But I do get to see him every weekend. It's a little different when you go to the row because you have to go through so much, and it's not just the regular visitation. You have to go through just a little bit more than if you were going to see someone that was in population. So it's a process to get where he's at to see him. But I do get to sit beside of him. I do get to give him a hug and a kiss right when I see him. But then I can't touch him. We can sit beside each other, but we can't touch each other through the visit. Me and him sit and play cards. We play rummy a lot. And then I get to give him a hug and a kiss bye, and that's it. It's not like regular VG. They get to sit there and hold hands, and but I get to do that. I do get to touch him. I do get to be beside of him. And it does. There's some days are better than others. There's some days I try to hold it together until I'm away from him because, it makes him feel bad. And he'll always, he tells us when we got this date, he tells everybody, I need to know that you're okay. And I have to be strong while I'm around him. But, sometimes I cry all the way home, but I don't let him see that. I'm just glad that he got to call. I'm just hoping, here's what we're hoping. So the deal with the phone is that he can't do three-way calls. If he does three-way calls, then he'll lose his phone privileges and maybe visitation. But when he comes on here, he is talking to me. So they can't. We found out how we could get around that. So
Yeah, it's legal. Marge does it a lot. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we didn't know that at first because we was kind of afraid. So I'm glad because I think he's getting a little better with it. And I told him, I said, when I first started doing this stuff, and I get nervous. I said, I don't know what to say. I said, it's just kind of chatting with people. And so Monday nights is going to be his night.
You do really well, Carolyn.
Yes.
You do amazing, and I can't imagine.
You're so strong. Oh my gosh.
I'll
be honest, Carolyn, I can't imagine because you're so strong.
Yeah.
Like
awesome.
you are. I don't know that I would be keeping my shit together very well.
Right. That's what I was thinking. I'd be losing it. Oh.
Literally, I would be a basket case. I'm not even kidding.
Well,
especially after getting a date, that would just crush me.
Oh, I couldn't do it. I would literally have them to commit me. No joke.
You should see. Callie, my daughter-in-law, said you all should see me off camera. So yes, my anxiety is out the roof like you would not believe sometimes. And I've even had, so I am a nurse. So my provider, she's telling me, she's like, you got to get on some anxiety meds. And I'm like, I can't. I have to have, I just, and I'm not a very good patient. I'm not a good patient
Girl,
at
me
all.
either. I don't
But
take that shit. They told me that too, but I had to have something because listen, you don't want me. I call it, and this is no lie, I call it my deal with people pill. For real.
She tells me, and I mean, a little bit of me thinks maybe because I think last year I started having some health problems, and I really think it was my anxiety and my nerves. But yeah, my daughter-in-law and my son, they are great because they have to deal with my crazy when it comes to doing things. And sometimes I'm just like, I need this person to do this. I need this person to do that. And you just can't get people to do anything. But since I've been coming on and you guys have hopped on, you have took a few of that anxiety away, and I appreciate it.
Girl, listen. Tell them you want citalopram. I'm on a 10 milligram. It's the slight one. Listen, I have to have the shit because I ain't about to deal with people. Listen, no way.
Yeah, I mean, I may eventually, the closer we get, because
Girl, you'll have to
I
have
don't know.
something. You'll have to have something.
So yeah, I will. I'll have to. Something's gonna have to give because I'm not getting any sleep, and I mean, I look like a hot, like disaster.
Yeah, I was just
but
fixing to ask you how you're sleeping.
I didn't sleep well anyway, and I definitely don't sleep well now. I'm lucky, and I do take medicine for sleep. I take Ambien. The thing with Ambien too is it makes me sleepwalk, so I'm really getting no rest. So yeah, I'm not sleeping. I may, if I'm lucky, I'll get a good 2 hours. If I'm lucky, and that's not a full sleep. And then sometimes, like when you're all on lives late at night or whatever, sometimes you might see me pass through. Well, it's because I just woke up and I wanted to see what was going on, and then I fell back asleep. So that's my night.
Girl, listen. Yeah, you
Just
people
don't
wouldn't
sleep.
want to deal with me off of my listen. I'd be like the biggest crash out there is, okay?
Grow a
Peanut,
trazodone with Ambien.
Peanut blames her loss of sleep on you, Dora.
Right?
Add a trazodone to your Ambien.
I do. Trazodone is like taking an aspirin to me. I can't do. I mean, it doesn't do.
You have bad.
So my thing is it is the A that does it, but it knocks me out right like that. But like I said, I don't get much sleep on it, but it's the only thing that'll knock me out. But if I take it on a full stomach, it will never, I won't go to sleep. I'll lay there until the alarm goes on. So but like now, yes, I'm just like, my mind is like
You're
this
just amped up
constantly.
inside.
Yeah. And
Probably can't
my thing is,
relax.
what can I do next? Yeah, I can't relax. And the next thing is, what can I do next? What needs to be done? What else can I do?
You're in
What am I
fight or
not
flight
doing?
mode.
Well,
Yeah.
you know
Yeah.
what we can do? Not let the governor get no sleep, honey. Tag
That's
that
right.
Facebook, them
All right.
notifications going
You're
off.
gonna keep him up.
Yeah, somebody said try the magnesium glycinate. I have. I really have. I've tried. I've even did the magnesium, that's in a lotion form to put on the bottom of my feet, because everybody said that would help. It may help a little, but like I said, I'm just like, my mind goes constantly. I usually don't eat. I don't eat a whole lot. That's why. Yeah, but yeah, it just.
And unfortunately, this makes you relive what you had to live all those years ago.
Yeah, it does. And like Gary was talking about Tommy tonight, how he that weekend, how Tommy was like, you know, we need to stop this and go to church. And that's the Sunday. That Sunday never came. And Gary was talking about, you know, Tommy said, I think she's the one. Tommy was just like, he was just as sweet as he could be. And he told me one day, he goes, you know, you're the one. And if you all get married, he goes, or, you know, he goes, can I just move? Can I still come and stay? Because he had a room at Gary's place. And I was like, Tommy, you're always welcome. You know, he goes, well, can I just come and move in when you, I said, yeah. I said, whatever. And that's how close Gary and Tommy were. And when Gary talked about it tonight, Gary's not ever got to mourn his friend. And I remember when we found out that they found Tommy that night, we sat and cried all night. But then here we are in fight mode for Gary's life. And it's just to hear him talk about Tommy, he's never got to do that either.
You could definitely hear it in his voice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's not, and with his sister, with Connie, we didn't really know her that well. We knew who she was, and I had met her a couple of times, and I mean, she was sweet. She you know, she was kind, but we didn't know her that well. So it was like, what's happening? What is just, and then, you know, even back then you're thinking, so here's these people that we love and that we've been around and stuff. What's happening? And do I need to be out by myself? No, not at all. Yeah, if y'all want questions for Gary, I'll tell him next Monday that we'll just do a question and answer and let him answer some questions. I think would be good. Yes, Mama T, you missed him. He was on here for a good hour, and just telling his story, you know, telling his life, how he grew up. And what really blows my mind is that Gary's been working like a grown adult since he was 9 years old and out on his own since he was 10. And I can't wrap my head around that. So that's okay, Mama T. He'll be back on again Monday night. But it's 10 o'clock here, and I got to try to go lay down. And I appreciate every single one of you all. So, just thank you all. And we'll see y'all. I'm glad you all are being a part of. So I will see you all soon. I'll catch you all on some of your lives. But if I pop in and don't come up, then don't think nothing of it. It's just because I'm just going in and out of sleep. But
oh no, girl, you good.
But thank you all, and I appreciate it. And I know Gary appreciates it, because like he said, he's never got to tell his story. And yes, Mama T, we'll talk to you tomorrow. Samantha will talk to you soon. Dora, Tabby, all you all, thank you, and I appreciate
Thanks for
you
having
all.
us.
Thanks for having us, honey.
Thank you all for being a part of it. Y'all have a good night.
You too.
You too.
Thank you.